Good evening. You got us live here? Still working on it? Good evening. Ah, there we go. Very good. Thank you very much. Oh, it's still 6 p.m. That's great. Make sure I'm doing this in the correct order. Good evening. Welcome to the Morgan Hill Unified School District Board of Education regular meeting of June 11th, in person and available by Zoom. We will begin by having our flag salute. Okay, please join me in saluting the flag. It's in the corner over there. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Now we have the introduction of board members and staff. I will start with Assistant Superintendent Tavares and come around the table.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Diana Tavares. I'm the Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Kovera Chang, Assistant Superintendent for Business.
Good evening. Buenas noches. Diana Jimenez, Assistant Superintendent of Educational Services.
Good evening. Rebecca Munson, Trustee Area 6.
Happy Friday, Junior. Veronica Andrade, Trustee Area 7.
Claudia Estrada, Executive Assistant to the Superintendent.
Good evening. Carmen Garcia, Superintendent. I'd like to address our Spanish-speaking community. Miembros de nuestra comunidad, tenemos traducción simultánea. Por favor, hagan clic en el icono del mundo debajo de la pantalla. Gracias por estar con nosotros.
Good evening again. John Horner, Board President.
Good evening. Sarah Northrup Gaddis, Board Vice President, Area 3.
Good evening, Jennifer Marquez, Trustee Area 5 and Clerk.
Good evening. Welcome, Pamela Gardner, Trustee Area 4.
Welcome, everyone. Nancy Altman, Trustee Area 1.
Thank you very much. We'll move to item D, adoption of the agenda. Do we have a motion? Was that Trustee Munson? I'm sorry. We have a second? Second, Trustee Andrade. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed or abstaining? Hearing none, we will continue moving on. Okay, item E, closed session action report. The board voted in closed session to approve Michael Fong by a vote of 7-0 as the principal of Paradise Valley Engineering Academy effective July 1st. And Assistant Superintendent Tavares will introduce Mr. Fong.
All right, Mr. Fong, would you please step up to the podium? Michael Fong is honored and excited to join the Paradise Valley Engineering Academy and the Morgan Hill Unified School District community as our new principal. Mr. Fong brings more than 31 years of experience in education and a lifelong commitment to student success. Throughout his distinguished career, he has served in a variety of instructional and leadership roles, including teacher, Title I project specialist, assistant principal, and elementary school principal. Mr. Fong has established a strong record of improving student achievement by fostering high expectations, supporting academic growth, and creating positive learning environments where all students can thrive. A passionate advocate for educators, he has dedicated much of his career to coaching, mentoring, and developing teachers, empowering them to become skilled, effective professionals. His leadership is grounded in the belief that every student can succeed when provided with high-quality instruction, meaningful support, and equitable opportunities. Through collaboration with the community, relationship building, and a steadfast commitment to excellence, Mr. Fong is looking forward to ensuring that the students of Paradise Valley are prepared for success, both academically and personally. Outside of his professional responsibilities, Mr. Fong enjoys spending time with his family, who continue to be his greatest source of inspiration and support. With that, I give you Mr. Michael Fong.
Well, I'm honored to be the new principal at Paradise Valley. I look forward to working for the community, and I'm ready to go. So let's get going. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, under item F, recognitions, the Live Oak High School softball team. Dr. Garcia will introduce this item.
Full disclosure, I'm a softball mom. My daughter is a pitcher. I want to, on behalf of the entire school district and on behalf of our school board, I want to honor our varsity softball team for your incredible season. I was able to attend several games, and you all were masterful the way you worked together as a team. You supported each other, you had each other's backs, and the passion and the drive, my God, I wish I could bottle it. I want to thank head coach Porras and assistant coach Svoboda. Thank you for leading the way and being an incredible guiding light for our softball team. I'm sorry I wasn't able to make it to Alizal. I think we had a graduation that evening, but I was there in spirit. So on behalf of the school board and on behalf of the entire team in Morgan Hill Unified, congratulations on a historic run. They won the Division III championship, and they were semifinalists for the NorCal Regionals Division IV. So kudos and a thunderous applause for all of you.
Would the coaches or players like to say a few words or just have a picture and a certificate? It's up to you.
Speech.
We won is a good one.
We won, yeah. No, thank you guys for supporting us. The whole community, it's really important. Live Oak, it has a huge tradition in Morgan Hill, and we just really appreciate everybody being behind the girls and supporting them at each game. We had people at home games, people up at our games in San Jose, and then all the way down in Alisal, and we just can't say thank you enough. So go Acorns.
I'll take a moment to read the certificate. It's not very long. The Live Oak High School girls varsity softball team is in recognition of your exceptional dedication, teamwork, and athletic excellence as vital members of the historic 2026 Live Oak girls varsity softball team. The team achieved the distinction of becoming the 2026 CCS Division III champions, as well as 2026 NorCal Division IV semifinalists. Your hard work and relentless spirit brought immense pride to our school community. So.
Their official banner is in the making, and I know not everybody can be here, so we kind of just thank you with Miss Elizabeth. Your picture with everybody yourself too, please. So it's just, in the meantime, banner.
Back up a little so everybody can get in here.
Yeah, we are. Are you just doing it? Did you get a picture? Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Let's do that.
Oh, I think they're ready.
I thought you were doing it. Okay, ready? Nice. Beautiful. And then I got the two pockets ready. 1, 2, 3. Thank you. Okay, good.
Okay.
You guys be next to we're good on like 3 steps this way.
I know, they're all cramped.
Or maybe 3, because everybody's
I'm gonna take the picture.
Okay.
That's okay. It's a good picture.
All right, let's see. This looks good. Do you mind coming on this side? Okay.
Sarah, you're hiding.
You're like the only person that looks smushed. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3.
Well, that was wonderful. I'm tempted to adjourn, but we still have a lot we need to do. That was really delightful celebrating these students. Okay, we're on item G1, request for approval of the minutes from the board meeting of May 14th. Do we have a motion?
Second.
Thank you, thank you. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed or abstaining? That passes unanimously. Then G2, approval of the minutes from the special meeting of May 28th. Did you send in whatever your amendment was, or is this a pop quiz here?
No, I'm sorry, it was for last.
What, okay.
And
Makes it very,
it's just an addition.
okay. What is it you're asking?
The actual minutes.
Okay, it's very, very helpful to do that ahead of time, but please continue. Please continue.
Thank you. H, or under the minutes for May 28th, H1, it states that the plaque was presented by President John Horner, and I think it should reflect that it was the plaque to the board, should read, the board president presented the student with a plaque on behalf of Morgan Hill Unified School. So instead of saying you presented it, that it should be on behalf of.
Okay, I certainly have no issue with that. It's not about me.
Yeah, that's why I think anybody
all right.
should read back.
So that's your motion, is to approve it with that one change. Do we have a second?
Second.
Either one of us.
All right, well, I heard trustee Altman just slightly louder. So, okay, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed or abstaining?
Abstaining, since I recused myself.
Oh,
I was in the whole meeting. That was the theme study session. I did not hear any of the public comments.
okay, very good. Thank you. So please record the one abstention. Trustee Andrade, thank you for that. Now move on to item H, public comment. We have, it looks like 3 requests. First, Johanna Urowitz. I hope, please come to the mic. If I got your name incorrectly, please let me know.
My parents decided to trick everybody. It's just Joanna Jurwitz.
Oh,
So super simple.
So in an
Joe-
anglicized way, I was trying to be more Germanic.
Well, no, I know, and they hid an H in there for no good reason. That's why not pronounce it, right?
All right, anyhow. You have 3 minutes. Please continue.
Excellent. Well, yeah, my name is Joanna Jurwitz. I have 2 children in the Morgan Hill Unified School District right now. My daughter will be entering 8th grade in the fall at Britton, and my son will be entering 5th grade at Barrett in the fall. I am also currently the president of the School Site Council at Barrett. I am here this evening to bring a safety issue with the gates surrounding Barrett's campus to the attention of the school board. A majority of the gates at Barrett's school campus are currently locked with either a padlock or a deadbolt. These gates require someone with a key to be available to open them from both the outside and the inside. During a walkthrough last fall, it was brought to the attention of our principal by district facilities personnel that gates locked in this manner are dangerous. If there was ever a situation where staff and students needed to exit campus quickly, they cannot. If a person with a key is readily available, stopping to unlock a gate slows exiting down unnecessarily in a situation where it could be that every second counts. And that is only if someone with a key is readily available. Barrett Elementary needs gates at every exit that have a push bar release that can be used by anyone in the case of an emergency. Currently, only the front office, library, and multipurpose room have these types of exits. However, shortly after students are released for the day, all 3 are locked as staff leave and are no longer accessible. Barrett still has plenty of activity after school hours, though. There is an after-school program every day through the Y, family events, book fairs, mathletics, and many other programs and events of which I am not aware. Facilities staff brought this to our attention at the beginning of the 25-26 school year, but at the most recent school site council meeting on May 26th, no one at Barrett has had any update or information on when the gates will be changed. So tonight, I am asking you, members of the board, to please help address this safety issue so it is remedied as soon as possible. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing your views. I should have announced earlier, these are non-agendized items, so we can't discuss them now, but we can listen. So I neglected to read that part of the script. Now we have Mr. Chris Robel on Zoom, I believe.
Thank you. This is a call to action for all Morgan Hill residents and to correct the leadership failure at Morgan Hill Unified School District, specifically the lack of transparency and openness with the community. First, this district refuses to give visibility to expenses as required by law and as every other school district in the county does. Trustees Altman and Gartner, and I believe Munson, have asked repeatedly for visibility into expenses, yet their requests are denied, as are mine. Number two, this district repeatedly violates the California Public Records Act. They're late and in many cases never provide the requested records. I'm still waiting for a simple CPRA request submitted back in March, something as simple as seeing the February expenses. It went from March to April to May, and now I'm supposed to hear on June 28th. We'll see if it ever arrives. I'm not holding my breath. Three, this district violates the Open Meeting Act, also known as the Brown Act. The district attorney with whom I've engaged has confirmed violations regarding closed session agenda items. See the email that I sent you, the leadership team, today. Four, President Horner and Superintendent Garcia organize agendas so substantive items are discussed late at night when everyone's tired and the few are watching. They fill the early evening with topics that don't require board decisions related to academic performance or fiscal matters on the part of the board. Instead, proclamations, feel-good recognitions, and long sessions where John Horner talks about all the meetings he's attended. Let's see how long he speaks tonight. That's not required by the board. Fifth, VP Sarah Northrop Gaddis refuses to meet with constituents. I have an email from her where I asked to discuss district priorities, and she emailed me, quote, "I conduct all district-related concerns, including discussions about priorities, exclusively via school board email. That aligns with board practices," unquote. So no engagement with constituents. Great. Number six, the school district avoids critical agenda items like whether or not to pursue a bond or parcel tax, and if so, what the investment priorities are. Thank you. I do want to thank the three board members who properly communicated the lack of community engagement at the last meeting and voted no on that because it needs community engagement and openness with everybody. Number seven, the district website. It's a mess. Good luck finding the speaker card, which shouldn't even be required, Zoom links, agendas. More importantly, there are major violations of law and the Brown Act that stifle public visibility. And I sent you an email about that earlier today. It's pretty black and white. Lastly, we as a community cannot improve if we don't trust our leadership. And to be clear, no one should trust the existing leadership of Carmen Garcia, John Horner, and Sarah Northrop Gaddis. We need to replace John Horner and Sarah Northrop Gaddis and the Superintendent Garcia. The call to action is to email me at chris_robel@yahoo.com, CHRIS_ROBELL@yahoo.com, so we can develop a game plan for changed leadership in November. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Shannon Costanza, I believe, here in the room.
She is on her way, but I'm not sure how close. So she just texted me. I don't know how that works. Maybe but yeah.
I'm sorry, we will have to move on. If she has something on a later agenda item, we can talk about it then, or we'll be back in 2 weeks. Okay, very good. Moving on to communications. Area I, we have a report from our superintendent and staff. There were no other public comments, correct? Okay, thank you. Superintendent Garcia.
Thank you so much, President Horner. So I'd like to provide the board an update. Since our last meeting 2 weeks ago, we celebrated middle school milestone ceremonies. So we had 4 8th grade promotion ceremonies. 4 uniquely different and beautiful. So congratulations to our JAM 8th graders promoting to high school, our San Martin Gwin 8th graders who are promoting to high school, Britain students promoting to high school, as well as Murphy. So congratulations to all 8th graders and the entire staffs at all 4 of those schools. We also celebrated 3 high school graduations. So congratulations to the graduates of Central High School, Live Oak High School, and Sobrato High School. Again, 3 beautiful and unique ceremonies. And we extend to our more than 630 635, I believe, graduates. And I know we were all present, and so wouldn't it be wonderful to relive that moment of over 635 graduates who received quality education that opened many doors of opportunity for their future, and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of parents and community members that congratulated and cheered all of our graduates as they walked across the stage. So kudos to everybody. And then just last night, we had one of the most heartfelt celebrations. It's uniquely different. The community adult school graduation, where if you look at the picture on the bottom right, that's a graduate who's receiving a scholarship from AAUW. She's 45, but she returned to school, and she now is a high school graduate, and more to come. Watch out, world. And then we also had parents, young parents, who also returned to school, and you see that in the middle picture. All 27, thank you, Principal Sapien, all 27 with stories of resilience and grit, and so we extend congratulations to each of them as well. Our adult transition program, we're really proud of our adult transition program that's co-located on the central campus. These students, you'll recall, I believe it was the last superintendent update that they came and visited us. Remember, they stumped me on how many trees have we planted. I still don't have the answer to that. But the city of Morgan Hill came out. You see Chicky in the back, Chicky Mejia with the glasses with the white frames. She came out and thanked our adult transition program for their partnership with the city of Morgan Hill, and namely with the Magical Bridge. They're very visible in the Magical Bridge every week, so thank you to our adult transition program. I continue my chats with Carmen. I just got, you know, how you get the picture reminders that pop up like, oh, this time last year, 5 years ago. I just received that a few days ago, concluded my 5th year with the district. And so something that I started when chats with Carmen is what I started when I first came, and I will continue to do so. These are my monthly chats with Carmen. So this was my last one. This was in South San Jose. I also had, in addition to being the superintendent in Morgan Hill, I'm also the chair of the South County Youth Task Force. And so I was asked by Sobrato Philanthropies to do a presentation to them. And so I had the honor of presenting to the Sobrato Philanthropies. This was last week in my capacity as superintendent, but also as chair of the South County Youth Task Force. And I mentioned this in my commencement speech at Sobrato High School, that I presented to Ann Sobrato's son, grandchildren and great-grandchildren, the fantastic achievement at Sobrato, at all of our schools. I talked about all of our schools. But namely, I mentioned how Ann Sobrato herself would be most proud of our graduates because they reflect her values of community service, social equity, and so on. So great honor to speak to them on behalf of our district and the South County Youth Task Force. We had end of year professional development, so thank you ESD, Educational Support Division. My goodness, this was a wild data packed event where I think that we'll let the pictures speak for themselves. So it was a year-end review, but also a forecasting of what's to come next year, which essentially is just we're staying the course. We're doubling down on all the great work that we're leading in this district. So happy summer, everyone. But of course, we never close here in our school district. So we have summer school beginning next June 15th. Thank you, and that concludes my report.
Thank you, Dr. Garcia. Now, do we have a report from the Morgan Hill Classified Employees Association? Not sure. Okay. We'll move then to the Morgan Hill Federation of Teachers. I see the president here. Good to see you, sir.
Good evening, board trustees, executive cabinet, and community members. My name is QA Nguyen, and I'm honored to be the elected president of the Morgan Hill Federation of Teachers. Summer is supposed to be a time for recovery and relaxation for our certificated staff members. Our grades and report cards are completed. Our classrooms are clean and organized. Our contracts are sent and are signed for the most part. In my 12 years that I've been in this district, and in Lori's 19 years that she's been in this district, We have never seen such ambiguity of contracts, which led to complete levels of chaos as has occurred in the past few weeks. Our members, as contracts were being sent out at the end of May, reached out to us stating how confused they were at the newly omitted information, such as start and end dates, step and column, and additional degrees and certifications, as well as how unclear the new title of intent to remain differed from the late winter, early spring intent to return, and therefore ultimately how unsure they were of committing to employment for the 26-27 school year. And to make matters worse, there are teachers out there who still have not received any information about their contract, little follow-up when they have inquired about them, and thus leaving them in the dark still to this day on knowing where they stand with our district. This is not how you should treat your employees. And those who are most affected by this are the TK assistant teachers. I'm not sure what you as board members have been informed of, but I encourage you to get an understanding of both the district stance and the federation stance around this position as things are quickly coming to a head. It will likely be helpful for you to understand the history, the importance, and the legalities of and around this position, as these will all be matters that will impact their future. Please reach out if you would like this information from the perspective of the Federation and the educator. We have likely over 10 individuals who find themselves without a contract and wondering what's next. That's likely over 10 individuals with livelihoods, with families, with an investment in this district that do not know where they stand for next year. We ask that you start to communicate clearly and transparently with them. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I believe the Morgan Hill Educational Leaders is not reporting tonight as well? Okay. Then we will move to item I2, board member. Any board member reports? Trustee Altman? Looks like you're reaching for your mic there.
Well, I was. It's not anything really new, but just the graduations were amazing. Central and adult ed, just amazing. With adult ed, with the little kids who just had to be with mom. And so I think we graduated 2 kids. I hope we can still collect ADA and enroll them in our schools. I'm not sure if they got their diplomas and they're gone, but it's just amazing what so many people achieve in this community. And tomorrow we have our budget committee meeting, so stay tuned.
Thank you. Anyone else down this end here? Trustee Gardner, please.
So yes, I empathize with our staff and teachers. We've been tired too. It's a lot going on, but the graduations were great. It's kind of all a blur. And the charter school exit interview things is really fun. Probably more to report, but I'm just going to sign out.
Thank you. Go ahead. Trustee Marquez, please.
Along with my peers, the trustee peers, I attended the promotions and the graduations of the middle schools and the high schools. It's always one of my favorite things during the year to be a part of that, so it's always been a pleasure. I'm also part of the Community Asset Builders, abbreviated to CAB. There was an email that was sent out with from Pacific Clinics, and they have several things going on in the community. So I printed out some of the flyers. I'm going to put them out in the lobby if anybody's interested. They're in English and in Spanish. But just to name a few, there's the summer kickoff event for the Pacific Clinics. There's a CPR class that's free, and Zumba, and several other things. So I will put these out in the front. There's only a few copies, but please help yourself if you're interested, or let anybody else know. But that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. I volunteered at the last day of school barbecue at Walsh, which was amazing. We served up burgers with and without cheese to all the kids in the whole school, and I've been there every year, and I just love it. And then Later that day, we had the high school graduations, which were amazing. I'll never stop being moved by that Post Malone song and seeing the kids just like hugging each other after they graduate. It's just so beautiful. And a highlight was I got to hand out a diploma to my kid's swim teacher. Shout out Jack. So
That's a special moment. You were here? Trustee Andrade?
Just really quickly want to acknowledge Live Oak staff, faculty, and administrators for the special tribute that they did for Angel during graduation. I was not prepared for that, and it was really emotional, and I just thought it was such a wonderful way to celebrate him and his family. So thank you for that. Is Veronica here? Okay. Okay, Veronica, thank you, and QA and everybody else from the Live Oak High School. A couple of things. Summer school started at the community college around various community colleges. Evergreen, one of the sites that I work at, I'm part of their TRIO program. And what's amazing is there's a lot of dual enrollment students taking high school students taking college courses right now. It's pretty amazing to see. And so with that, I wanted to, if there's any parents on Zoom or in the audience, Gavilan Summer School starts on June 15th, and there's room if you want to enroll your student for dual enrollment. And what's really interesting on the enrollment side is that at the higher ed level, we are starting to see for the first time a drop in enrollment. This is 13 to 15% decline in enrollment, and this is just nationwide. And what they're attributing it to, according to NPR, is the Great Recession, because people don't have children during hard economic times. And so we're going to see a dip in enrollment for seniors and college freshmen. So I thought that was really fascinating because it really does reflect Gavilan's enrollment for fall. So, and that's it.
Thank you. Trustee Munson?
Yeah, so I was able to attend the graduations for Sobrato and Live Oak, and it's just always great to see the culmination of all of their education up to that point, and they're so excited and so just ecstatic of where they're going next in their future. So it's just great to see, and that's it.
Thank you. For my report, I'll echo all my colleagues that the promotions and graduations were really, really incredible. I loved that our high schools, all of them, featured student voice considerably. And I think back to being a student, I would rather hear from other students than from old men like me. So I'm really glad that that our students got to speak for and with and to each other. That was really noticeable and commendable. In addition to that, when again, a local Kiwanis club has for a long time supported Central High School with an end-of-year barbecue, some hot dogs and things. I was able to stop by there. That's always great fun, and really appreciate the community reaching out to those students. Then a few more reports. My last week was at the Chamber Breakfast on behalf of the school district. Dr. Garcia was at a promotion ceremony, so I presented the report she generated. So I did my best to do that, but I want to share, one of the great things the Chamber has partnered with us on is a summer internship program for our CTE students, and this is a formal program. I checked there, 6 students total participating. They're doing it starting June 15th as part of a summer school assignment. That's kind of how the staff here made all the paperwork work, and there is a curriculum. There's two teachers from Live Oak, CJ Gillard and Jude Sleet, worked very hard on making this not just to show up, get coffee for the boss kind of thing. This is a very well thought out program. I'm very, very excited to have, like I said, 4 businesses, 6 students. This is a pilot. There's a lot of interest. In fact, at the Chamber breakfast, a couple of the other businesses in the room, when they heard about it, I was like, hey, what about me? Why aren't I included? So I'm very hopeful. I mean, this has been a personal interest of mine for 15 years at least to figure out how do we make this systematic. And we've had relationship-based internships. A teacher knows somebody, which is wonderful. That has gone on for but but I'm very excited to now actually have a system and a partnership and all that. So high hopes for that going forward. And then the other chamber event I participated in was just this morning, the monthly economic development meeting. Their main presentation was from Pacific Gas and Electric. Well, what does that have to do with schools? Well, they have a new director of government relations, getting to know the community, somebody to talk to. So those people always change, but you have to know who it is. But there are two big initiatives that hopefully will be good for us over time, are completely rebuilding the substation in Morgan Hill and adding more power line capacity, with the promise that that is supposed to improve reliability. And we know both as residents and our school sites, reliability has been unacceptable. So that was interesting to hear. And then the city economic development team at that meeting shared there's a big, exciting industrial commercial user coming to some of our empty buildings, but they couldn't say who it is yet. So preview of coming attractions, but I'm already committing them to 10 interns from our school, whoever it is. Yeah, anyhow, that concludes my report. Next item is I4. The calendar of upcoming events is published. I will not read it to you, so please refer to that. And then we move on to item J, consent items. Do we have any requests to pull a consent item? Hearing none, do we have a motion to approve the consent calendar? Thank you, Trustee Munson. Do we have a second? Second. Thank you, Trustee Andrade. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed or abstaining? Okay, hearing none. Thank you. Get to turn a bunch of pages. So we are now on item K1, yes? School plans for student achievement, SIPSAs. Thank you for getting this out to the trustees and even further advance, so there's a lot there. But Assistant Superintendent Jimenez will introduce the item. Or we'll phone a friend. Thank you.
All right, good evening, everyone. As mentioned in the board agenda, these are our annual school site plans. They have been developed in partnership with the schools, school site councils, and with input from the English Learner Advisory Councils in accordance with the guidance that is required. We're requesting that you approve them, as these are our plans for how we are going to align school site funding with the LCAP and district-wide goals.
Any questions or comments on these plans? And I know it. Please, Trustee Altman.
I just had one noticing as I was reviewing them that we have declining enrollment at both Walsh and SMG. And I'm just wondering if there's been any, I'm wondering if it has to do with the dual language immersion or if it's just demographics, and what type of monitor are we going to have to see if we actually have the bandwidth for the two dual enrollment programs?
I know at SMG, part of the lower numbers is that we moved the English only program offsite. And so that's part of their kind of overall decline there. Although we are still seeing good enrollment in the lower grades in terms of like coming in the feeders. With respect to Walsh, it is, since it's we're still establishing the program, it's anticipated the enrollment would be a little bit lower. And so we're going to continue keeping an eye on that.
Thank you.
If there's no other comments, can I move that we
Please do.
approve the SIPSAs? And thank you to all the hard work for all the administrators.
Thank you for the second. Thank you for the second, Trustee Munson. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed or abstaining? Hearing none, that carries. All right, moving to the next item, the District English Learner Advisory Committee presentation. Again, Dr. Jimenez, get it kicked off here.
My introduction is pretty short. So thank you so much for the opportunity to have our District English Learner Advisory Committee present, and I am going to turn it over to our wonderful Director of Family Community Engagement, Corina Sepien.
Good evening, everyone. It is great to be here. Our DLAC representatives are here this evening, and we'll do almost all the talking. So I'm just happy to introduce all of them to you, and they will take it from here. First, we have Cindy Ramirez, our DLAC president.
Hola, buenas tardes. Mi nombre es Sandy Ramírez, soy la presidenta de DILAC y presidenta de PIOWASH de ILAC. Vamos a empezar con la presentación. ¿Qué es DILAC? El Comité Asesor de Padres de Aprendices de Inglés del Distrito, por sus siglas en inglés. Es un grupo requerido por el Estado formado por representantes de padres de familia de escuelas del distrito que tienen programas para estudiantes que están aprendiendo inglés. El DILAC cumple con un papel importante al asesorar sobre las políticas y los programas que afectan directamente a estos estudiantes. Su objetivo es asegurar que se cumplan las necesidades educativas de los alumnos que aprenden inglés y que los padres participen activamente en las decisiones. De mi parte, DILAC es un comité muy importante porque les da la voz a los padres de estudiantes que están aprendiendo inglés. Es el espacio donde podemos compartir inquietudes, hacer preguntas y en colaboración con el distrito para asegurarnos de que nuestros estudiantes reciban el apoyo y el recurso que necesitan para tener éxito. Además, nos permiten mantenernos informados sobre lo que sucede en las escuelas y participar activamente en las decisiones que afectan la educación de nuestros hijos.
Good evening. My name is Sandy Ramirez. I am the president of the DLAC. The District English Learner Advisory Committee, also known as DLAC, is a state-mandated body composed of parent representatives from schools within the district that have English learner EL programs. DLAC plays a critical advisory role in shaping policies and programs that directly impact English learners. Its goal is to ensure that the educational needs of EL students are met and that parents are actively involved in the decision-making process. To me, DLAC is a very important committee because it gives voice to the parents of English language learners. It is a space where we can share our concerns, ask questions, and collaborate with the district to ensure that students receive the support and resources they need to succeed. Furthermore, it allows us to stay informed about what is happening in the schools and actively participate in the decisions that affect our children's education.
Hola, buenas tardes. Mi nombre es Rosa Álvarez y soy la vicepresidenta de DILAC y también soy la representante de la escuela de Live Oak. A mí me tocó hablar sobre las responsabilidades del DILAC. DILAC es responsable de asesorar sobre temas importantes relacionados con los estudiantes que están aprendiendo inglés, incluyendo el desarrollo y la implementación de plan de éxito para estudiantes que están aprendiendo inglés del distrito. Hacer una evaluación de las necesidades de todo el distrito, escuela por escuela. Establecer los procedimientos del distrito para reclasificar a los estudiantes de inglés. Revisar y dar sus opiniones sobre el LCAP del distrito. Revisar y aprobar el plan de éxito para estudiantes de inglés. Promover la participación de los padres y ofrecer capacitación para que mejoren sus habilidades como defensores, como defensores de sus hijos. El enfoque de DILA está basado en los estudiantes y en darle información importante sobre temas que los puedan ayudar para que tengan mejor éxito académico. La responsabilidad es que cada escuela evalúe las necesidades de los alumnos para crear un plan. Nosotros como representantes nos aseguraremos de que se revisen todos los temas obligatorios, así como también llevar las preguntas e inquietudes de los comités de las escuelas ILAC a las reuniones del distrito DILAC y posteriormente llevar la información adquirida en las reuniones de DILAC para nuestras escuelas. Por ejemplo, nosotros debemos asegurarnos de que se hagan las encuestas y analizar los resultados para los alumnos que están aprendiendo inglés y en sus familias. Otra responsabilidad es que cada escuela tenga siempre un representante y un suplente para que asistan a las reuniones y en caso de que el representante no pueda asistir, el suplente pueda ir en su lugar. Muchos de nosotros hemos asistido por años y estamos muy contentos y muy comprometidos de seguir participando. Gracias.
Good evening. My name is Rosa Alvarez, and I am the Vice President of DLAC, and I represent Live Oak High School. The responsibilities of DLAC include responsibility for advising the district on key issues related to English learners, including the development and implementation of the district's EL Plan for Success, establishing district reclassification procedures, reviewing and approving the plan for EL success, conducting district-wide needs assessment on school-by-school basis, reviewing and commenting on the district's LCAP, and promoting parent involvement and offering training to improve advocacy. Sorry, I need to find the English. Okay. Everything that we do focuses on the students and providing information on the topics that affect them most. Each school assesses student needs to create a helpful plan. We make sure all required topics are covered. We bring questions and concerns from our school ELACs to the district level DLAC meeting, and then bring helpful information back to our schools. For example, we make sure surveys are completed and analyzed so that we can give recommendations to the district on how to improve services for English learners and their families. Our responsibility is to always have a representative from each school present. If someone cannot make it, they should send an alternate. Many of us have been attending for years and are highly committed. We rarely miss a meeting, and if we do, we always give notice and try to send someone in our place.
Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Victoria Juárez y soy la representante de Brito. El DLAC se reunió cada mes durante el año escolar 2025-2026 con un total de 10 reuniones programadas. En las juntas de DLAC hay cuidado de niños. Durante la reunión aprobamos la agenda y las minutas, el resumen de la junta anterior, y cada escuela comparte un reporte de lo que ha pasado desde la última vez. También hay presentaciones de invitados, personal del distrito como Corina y Diana, o agencias externas sobre diferentes temas de interés.
My name is Victoria Juarez, and I am the Brenton School Representative. The DLAC meets monthly met monthly during the 25-26 school year, and you can see here the meetings that were scheduled throughout the year. DLAC meetings offer childcare. During the meeting, we approve the agenda and meeting minutes, and each school shares an update on what happened since the last meeting. We also have presentations from guest speakers, district staff like Corina and Diana, or outside agencies on a variety of helpful topics.
Muy buenas tardes, mi nombre es Noemí Quintero y soy representante de la Escuela Martin Murphy. Temas que cubrimos durante el año 2025 y 26. Nos comprometemos en este año a los miembros del DLAC a tener discusiones y entrenamientos de los siguientes temas. Capacitación para miembros, orientación y funciones de los miembros del DLAC. Criterios y proceso de reclasificación. Apoyos de bienestar para estudiantes de inglés. LPAC, exámenes de dominio del inglés para California. iReady, herramienta de diagnóstico y enseñanza. LCAP. Se revisó cada meta y se dieron recomendaciones prácticas. Se hizo una evaluación de las necesidades de la familia de los estudiantes de inglés. Requisitos del DLAC. Se aseguraron de que se cumplieran todas las funciones requeridas por el Estado. Capacitaciones del DLAC. Las capacitaciones se nos dan a los miembros del DLAC, son muy importantes porque así sabemos exactamente cuál es nuestra función y qué nos toca hacer. Reclasificación del examen LPAC. Muchas familias no conocen los requisitos ni el proceso para que sus hijos sean reclasificados. En las juntas aprendemos sobre esto. Los estudiantes ya están cansados de tomar tantos exámenes, pero el proceso será más fácil para ellos si tienen nuestro apoyo en casa. El aprendizaje continuo. Cada año repasamos esta información porque escucharla una sola vez no es suficiente. Repetirla nos ayuda a entenderla mejor. Hemos notado que ahora los niños hablan más sobre el examen del ELPA. Estar informados nos da las herramientas para apoyar a nuestros hijos y lograr que se reclasifiquen más rápido.
My name is Noemi Quintero, and I represent Martin Murphy Middle School. Throughout this year, DLAC members engaged in meaningful discussions and training on the following topics: membership training, which is orientation and roles of DLAC members, reclassification criteria and process, the LPAC, which stands for English Language Proficiency Assessment for California, iReady diagnostic and instructional tool, wellness supports for English learner students, the LCAP, we reviewed each goal and provided actionable feedback, conducted a needs assessment of EL families, and requisites for DLAC, we ensured all state mandated functions were addressed. DLAC training. The training provided to DLAC members is incredibly important because it helps us clearly understand our roles and what we need to do. Reclassification and LPAC. Many families do not know the requirements or the process for student reclassification. We learn about this in our meetings. Our students are tired of taking so many tests, but they will find the process easier if they feel supported by us at home. Continuous learning. We review this information every year because hearing it once isn't enough. Repeating it helps us understand it better. We have noticed that our children are talking more about the LPAC test now. Being informed gives us the tools to support our children so they can reclassify sooner. And it is still me. Okay, so next slide. I would like to now once again introduce Sandy Ramirez. Sandy, we had CABE participated in CABE, the California Association of Bilingual Educators Conference, this spring sometime. And we submitted a nomination for Parent of the Year for CABE. This is a statewide, oh my gosh, I want to say 5,000 people attend this conference, and many, many, many school districts apply for this prestigious award. Our Sandy Ramirez was the winner of the CABE Parent of the Year Award.
Are you going to show your award?
Brought the flag to show.
So there are actually two awards because this is the CABE Award. This is the Parent of the Year Award, very beautiful. And the one that Sandy is holding is actually from the Mexican consulate, who was at CABE to present her with an award as well. So I'm going to turn it over now to Sandy, who will tell you more about the CABE conference.
Este año tuve el honor de asistir a las conferencias de CABE en San Francisco, donde recibí el reconocimiento de Madre del Año. Fue un momento muy especial para mí y algo que recibí con mucha humildad y gratitud. Más que un reconocimiento personal, lo veo como un reflejo del compromiso de los padres que dedican su tiempo a participar, aprender y apoyar nuestras escuelas y a nuestros estudiantes. Sin embargo, hoy quiero enfocarme en la importancia de estas conferencias y en el impacto que tienen en los padres líderes de nuestro distrito. Cada año, CABE nos brinda la oportunidad de aprender nuevas estrategias para involucrar a más familias en la educación de sus hijos y fortalecer la participación en comités como ILAC, DILAC. Lo que más valoro de estas conferencias es que reconoce que los padres también necesitan capacitaciones y oportunidades para crecer como líderes. Además de los talleres para educadores y administradores, existen talleres especialmente diseñados para padres, muchos de ellos en español, donde aprendemos sobre liderazgo, participación familiar, derechos educativos y cómo apoyar mejor a nuestros estudiantes. Estos espacios nos permiten adquirir herramientas prácticas que podemos traer de regreso y compartir con nuestra comunidad. También tenemos la oportunidad de conocer experiencias exitosas de otros distritos, descubrir recursos y programas que pueden beneficiar a nuestras familias y aprender cómo fortalecer nuestra participación en procesos tan importantes como el LCAP y el Plan Maestro para los aprendices de inglés. Cada año regreso con nuevos conocimientos, ideas y recursos. Siempre hay algo nuevo que aprender y algo valioso que compartir con otros padres. Por esa razón, considero muy importante que se continúe apoyando la participación de las familias en estas conferencias y que se mantengan los recursos necesarios para que más padres tengan la oportunidad de vivir esta experiencia de aprendizaje y crecimiento. Estas oportunidades no solo fortalecen nuestro liderazgo, sino que también nos ayudan a ser mejores defensores de nuestros estudiantes y a contribuir a una colaboración más sólida entre las familias y nuestras escuelas.
This year, I had the honor of attending the GABE conference in San Francisco, where I was recognized as Mother of the Year. It was a very special moment for me, and one that I accepted with great humility and gratitude. More than a personal honor, I see it as a reflection of the commitment of all the parents who dedicate their time to participating, learning, and supporting our schools and students. However, today I want to focus on the importance of these conferences and the impact they have on parent leaders within our district. Each year, GABE provides us with the opportunity to learn new strategies to engage more families in their children's education and to strengthen participation in committees like ELAC and DLAC. What I value most about this conference is that it recognizes that we as parents also need training and opportunities to grow as leaders. In addition to workshops for educators and administrators, there are sessions specially designed for parents, many of them in Spanish, where we learn about leadership, family engagement, educational rights, and how to best support our students. These spaces allow us to acquire practical tools that we can bring back and share with our community. We also have the opportunity to learn from the success stories of other districts, discover resources and programs that can benefit our families, and learn how to strengthen our participation in crucial processes such as the LCAP and the English Learner Master Plan. Every year, I return with new knowledge, ideas, and resources. There's always something new to learn and something valuable to share with other parents. For this reason, I believe it is incredibly important to continue supporting family participation in these conferences and to maintain the necessary resources so that more parents have the opportunity to experience this learning and growth. These opportunities not only strengthen our leadership, but also help us become better advocates for our students and contribute to a stronger partnership between families and our schools.
Good evening. My name is Carla Berrigan. I represent the Paradise Academy. Welcome to the new principal. We are looking forward to working with you and to keep supporting our students, our bilingual students, as I like to call them. In DLAC, our goal is not only to increase participation, but also to ensure that families feel informed, welcome, empowered to advocate for their children. Through the surveys we conduct each year, we gather valuable feedbacks about their needs, their concerns, their priorities of these English learners' families. Not only the students, but also like the families are matter too, right? This information helps guide our work, shape recommendations, and promote the actions that address these real needs. The old school communities, by strengthening the partnership between the families and the schools, we can elevate the parent voice and help create the best possible educational experience for our English learner students. And we are very, very thankful for all the support from you guys, but I know also to keep supporting and providing these tools for us to go out and communicate this information to our English learner parents, which as one of them, I know that when either if you're new to this country or don't speak the language, we need a lot of help guidance, understanding this, how the district works, what's the path for our kids, how does it look, and understanding, as I might sound like a broken record, that the fact that our kids speak another language, it's not a disability, right? It should be empowering and it should be an asset. And we need to convey that message to them so they believe it and they don't feel scared or they don't feel embarrassed when they are pulled out of their classrooms to keep supporting their English learning. And we can go to the next one, please. Also, as members of the DLAC, we are excited to continue building stronger connections with our English learner families in this coming year. So we plan to continue visiting the schools during the orientation event, as we did last year, and the back to school nights, to share information about the programs and services and answer questions and invite the parents to become part of this group. We learned last year that a lot of parents don't even know their kids are English learners, considered English learners. They have no idea if they have reclassified or not. And I think this is powerful information because parents, we cannot support our kids if we don't know where their status is. So we would love to work together with all of you to make sure that information it's arrived to who he needs to hear it. Thank you so much.
Buenas tardes. Mi nombre es María Barrios, soy representante de la Escuela El Toro. Hoy le queremos dar las gracias a Verónica Andrade y a Diana Jiménez por darle la importancia a las juntas de padres del comité de DLAC. Es un verdadero apoyo contar siempre con ellas. Al igual, les queremos agradecer a Sandy y a Corina, y a Claudia Cadenas por el gran apoyo que nos brindan en cada junta. Y finalmente, queremos agradecer a la superintendente Carmen García y a todos los miembros por caminar juntos con nosotros hacia un mejor futuro para nuestros hijos. Muchas gracias.
Good afternoon. My name is Maria Barrios. Today, and Maria is from El Toro, by the way. Today, we would like to thank Veronica Andrade and Diana Jimenez for the importance they place on the DLAC Parent Committee meetings. We truly appreciate always being able to count on their support. We would also like to thank Sandy, Corina, and Claudia Cadenas for the tremendous support they provide at every meeting. And finally, we want to express our gratitude to Superintendent Carmen Garcia and all of the members for walking alongside us toward a brighter future for our children.
Thank you all very much for the work and the presentation. Do we have any questions or comments from the trustees? Trustee Altman?
I just want to say thank you for all of your hard work on behalf of so many of our students.
Thank you. Trustee Andrade?
I just want to say thank you to all the parents and echo Trustee Allman's sentiments. And I love the group. It's very wonderful, very welcoming. And I enjoy being present and using my translator app because it reminds me that I can learn. I just need to be dedicated. I need to learn I need to learn Spanish. I need to be dedicated. And thank you for reminding me how important and also how hard it is to learn another language. I think sometimes we forget, and it's a great reminder that it's not easy to navigate the world. And so thank you so much.
Please, Trustee Munson.
Thank you. You guys are wonderful, amazing community members, and I love your engagement. And being a teacher, I know how important it is that parents are involved. The number one predictor of student success is parent involvement. And so being able to understand the system and be able to communicate that to your students. I did have a little kindergarten reclassify, and it's amazing. They're so excited. The parents are so excited. And I just love what you guys are doing. So thank you so much for being involved.
Of course. Dr. Garcia, please.
Muchísimas gracias por su voz, por su liderazgo, por sus ideas y por creer en todos nuestros alumnos, no solamente sus propios hijos, sino que ustedes están luchando por los 8,000 alumnos que tenemos en nuestro distrito. Así que para mí es un honor trabajar en equipo con ustedes para asegurarnos de que cada uno de ellos sobresalga y tenga el futuro de sus sueños. Y gracias también por alzar la voz de los papás, de todos los papás. Todas las voces son importantes para nosotros. Y muchísimas gracias por su liderazgo.
Thank you. Anyone else? I will just add my emphasis to what's already been shared rather than repeating it. But well done. Thank you very much. Very important. When I look at the data, it looks like we have around 1,400 to 1,500 English language learner students out of our slightly under 8,000. So that's a large number, and you're working on behalf of all of them and their families as volunteers, and I'm sure it's not because you have extra time in your lives. So really, thank you for going that extra mile, not only for your families, but all the families. Really appreciate it. Okay, our next item is information on the extensive support categorical setting curriculum recommendation. Rolls right off the tongue. There must be an acronym for that. Dr. Jimenez, please. Good night. Thanks for being here.
Good evening. My introduction is going to be really short. I'd like to, we're going to pass the baton to Coordinator Kim Lubers, who's going to talk a little bit about the process and the recommendation for the approval next time we meet for the extensive support needs.
Hello, my name is Kimberly Lubers, and I'm the program coordinator for our elementary and K-8 special education programs. This is...
Hi, I'm Athley Ramos Marquez. I'm the behavior analyst. I support various sites, specifically our extensive needs program.
Hello, I am Ian Mills. I am the special day class teacher for K-2 at San Martin Gwin.
Dr. Garcia and trustees, thank you very much for giving us this opportunity to share the recommendations from the Extensive Needs K-5 Curriculum Adoption Committee, recommending a standards-aligned ELA and math curriculum for our students with the most significant support needs. The purpose of our adoption, one of our primary goals, was to ensure that students accessing alternative curriculum continue to engage in California state standards in meaningful and appropriate ways. We wanted a curriculum that provided high-quality instruction materials, promotes consistency across sites, and still allows teachers the flexibility to individualize instruction based on students' needs, IEP goals, and communication supports. We've already seen an impact of this work. Last year, our middle school and high school extensive supports programs went through a rigorous and similar pilot process. Through stronger standards and alignment and access to rigorous instruction, the students at Live Oak High School who previously earned a certificate of completion were able to meet the requirements of an alternative pathway diploma and just graduated last week. Ultimately, our goal is to ensure students have access to rigorous and engaging standards-based instruction while maintaining individualized supports that they need to be successful. Our desired outcomes, we're looking beyond simply purchasing curriculum. We wanted a system that increased student engagement and strengthens communication and language development and provides multiple ways for students to access their learning. Because many of our students have very complex learning profiles, accessibility and differentiation were critical. We also wanted We also wanted strong progress monitoring tools to teach, we also wanted strong monitoring to make sure that we were gathering and accessing data to ensure all of our students were receiving their needs and that all of our instructions were based on data-informed inquiry. Next. The district adopted timeline was deliberate and collaborative process. Beginning in January, we formed a committee and reviewed the curriculum adoption process. Throughout the spring, committee members reviewed the curriculum, reviewed curriculum, went through training, piloted lessons from both curriculum options, observed student engagement, and used structured evaluation processes to compare materials. The committee included both classroom teachers representing different grade spans in elementary, a BCBA, and a special education administrator. This combination ensured we considered instructional quality, behavioral supports, accessibility, implementation needs, and classroom practicality. Before we reviewed any materials, the committee established clear criteria. Our non-negotiables included alignment to California standards, support for language development, accessibility for students with diverse learning needs, intervention resources, and family supports. We also looked for opportunities that promoted student engagement, problem solving, observational assessments, and developmentally appropriate instruction. These criteria helped ensure our decisions remain focused on our students. The curriculum that was recommended for review, the committee selected 2 well-established curriculums designed specifically for students with significant cognitive disabilities. Teachtown, the 2 that we were looking at was the Teachtown Encore and Unique Learning Systems. While this pilot focused on ELA and math, both programs are comprehensive systems that include additional academic supports such as science and social studies. It has communication, social, emotional, and functional skill components all integrated within the system. And both are aligned to state standards and the California Alternative Assessment. Within our review process, this included vendor demonstrations, independent evaluation of materials, classroom pilots, and structured scoring using a common rubric. Committee members then met to discuss strengths, limitations, and implementation considerations. We also considered teacher feedback and the realities of classroom instruction to ensure the recommended curriculum would both be effective and sustainable. I'm going to turn this part over to my team, to the team.
Hello, I will talk about the first of our 2 pilots, Teachtown. So Teachtown is a tiered lesson activities to match student learnings. Teachtown demonstrated several strengths. The committee, Teachtown had 3 level tiers. The first being an introduction, sort of, and then moving to tier 3, which is more of a meeting the standards as well. To reach those standards for each student, a basics component was effective for student skills, developing foundation learn skills. It allowed the teachers to understand if a student was, say, level 1 in ELA versus a level 2 in math. There were clear, structured, student-led and teacher-led ELA, math, social studies, science lessons aligned to state standards. Each activity it could be in physical or digital form. There were built-in social emotional learning components that were catered towards student-specific IEP goals and routines. This is very helpful, especially when taking data and making sure that you're reaching all the students' IEP goals, and they could be individualized in Teachtown as well. It engaged the students with videos, games, and hands-on activities. There's characters throughout the whole website that the students can learn understand and grow with. Some of the challenges we found were an overall engagement, lower engagement with the students, especially students that have trouble accessing computers or having trouble accessing the website. Even though there are strong lesson plans for each activity, good for subs and for paraprofessionals, it was a little difficult to use the website to navigate through. We found difficulty using the phonics component, as some of our students are nonverbal, and the students that have AEC devices that can amplify that phonics component, they did not have that same component with their AEC devices. Overall, there were occasional opportunities for student agency, collaboration, critical thinking, but it was not integrated. However, a lot of these activities were available in English and Spanish. While the majority of activities were digital, not all of them were available in physical copies, which were also a problem that we found as well. Okay.
Hello again. So the other one that other curriculum that we explored is unique learning systems, which demonstrated strong standards alignment, built-in differentiation, embedded communication supports, and integrated progress monitoring. The teachers found it highly adaptable across a wide range of student ability levels while maintaining access to grade level content. With this one in particular, what was very unique about it is that when we have certain lessons for the week, lessons for the month, it allows us to select levels for every individual student while still being on the same story, the same topic. So it's individualized for every learning group without having them to be in segregated groups, so they can be in the same teaching group in the classroom, learning about the same activity, the same story, for example, but the actual work that they do is differentiated by their level. So some of them are a little, not easier, but they have more visuals. Some have more words, some have manipulative, some don't. So it allows us to have that for all of our students. The committee also observed higher student engagement and stronger opportunities for communication and meaningful interaction. While implementation will require professional learning and teachers will need to supplement lessons with hands-on activities, the overall benefits outweighed the identified challenges. So after reviewing the evidence, pilot data, teacher feedback, the evaluation rubric scores, the committee unanimously recommends the unique learning systems. The recommendation was based on its liability to meet the needs of diverse learners, provide comprehensive standard-based instruction, support communication development, and offer consistent progress monitoring tools across classrooms and sites.
Our next steps, pending board approval, would be is including purchasing licensing, providing professional learning for all of our teachers and paraeducators, and ensuring all classrooms have access before implementation begins. And as part of the adoption process, curriculum materials have been made available for public review at multiple locations throughout the district. Currently, it has been already accessible with public postings as of May 27th. It's been at San Martin Gwen, which is what houses our ESN program currently. And then it has also been at Barrett Elementary School, which will have our ESY program throughout the summer, which has the majority of our special education students that will be accessing this curriculum. And then, of course, at the district office. And most importantly, I'd like to thank the committee members, pilot teachers, and staff who dedicated their time reviewing materials, participating in trainings, pilot lessons, and providing feedback. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. So this is not an action item tonight, but there is an opportunity to ask any questions. Trustee Marquez, please.
On this program for Unique, how many licenses would be available?
So it would just be for the specific classes.
Could you speak at the mic just so anybody on Zoom can hear you? Thank you.
So the way that licensing works is it's per teacher. So you purchase a teacher license, and then they can have up to 15 licenses per class.
Okay, and how many are actually needed?
So currently, there's only 3 ESN elementary classrooms right now.
So what the request is going to cover all that is needed?
That's in there, yes.
Okay,
Yes.
great, thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Munson or Trustee Almond?
Is Unique being used now?
Yes, it's still being used, and it's still the curriculum that we are practicing over ESY.
Anyone else? Seeing none, I'll say thank you very much. Sorry?
No, Trustee Marquez asked the question I wanted to
Oh,
ask you.
very good. All right. Thank you very much for all the work. Again, more people that had plenty to do in their lives but took this on as an additional task. We really appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, it's about 7:21. I'm going to call a short stretch break until 7:30. Or we have a number of rather meaty items yet to go. So stretch, restroom, whatever. Let's all try and be back promptly by 7:30, ready to go. 7:30, I'm calling us back to order. We're on the fourth item in this section, public hearing for the 2024 through 27 Local Control Accountability Plan. The first thing you do is have the public hearing. Do you want to say anything, Dr. Jimenez, first, or just, okay, at 7:30, I'm calling for any public comment on the LCAP, as it's so lovingly known around education circles? Seeing and hearing none, we will close public comment and move on to item 5, which is the actual presentation, which thank you for sending this out, with the agenda well in advance. I hope everybody has read and studied. I'm very hopeful that 87 slides won't take 87 minutes.
Thank you. We always appreciate that. Yes, thank you so much.
73 slides.
Yes, 73 slides.
I specifically asked right now why.
Yes.
Okay, so I didn't mean to exaggerate. Thank you for the correction.
Well, I was going to say, one of the requirements is that when we present the LCAP, we present all of the sections, right? And so the public has an interest, right, to see what's in the LCAP. So we give you a little synopsis of the runway of what's in there. If you want to read the entire thing, it is available on, as part of the board agenda, which is a little bit over 300 pages. So we're hoping that today, some of you may recall that we came back in February to talk about the mid-year LCAP. So nothing has really changed as far as goals and actions. It is just the culmination of how the school year ended and then the continuing of those actions for the last year of the LCAP, which is 26-27. If you can go to the next slide. So a little bit of the runway. We're going to talk a little bit about what's in the LCAP. What is the LCAP? We're going to do each of the sections and do our best to make sure that we give you that sort of Cliff Notes version of it. There is going to be a section which is very super short on the budget overview for parents, because that is a requirement that we bring that by statute together with the LCAP. And we're going to talk about 2 other items that should be tied with the LCAP, because that is an ed code. And one is the local indicator self-reflection, which rolls right off the tongue, which is how we rate ourselves. And it is a self-assessment in how we're doing as a school district. And then the last piece, which you can read at your leisure, is called the federal addendum. And that is something that is tied by statute to the LCAP, because it is how we report to the federal government how we're using categorical funds. And those are things like Title I, Title II, Title III, and Title IV. All right. So with that, I'm going to turn it. Oh, that's still me. So districts are required to adopt the LCAP and then bring, it's a 3-year plan. And then we must describe in the LCAP those goals and actions, how will we achieve those goals, and the student groups that we will support that's aligned with those 8 state priorities for those priorities that we've identified on the LCAP. And it has to include an annual review. So when you see the LCAP proper, you will see that under every single broad goal or focus goal, there is an analysis of how it went this year. So tonight you're going to get a very tiny snippet in our slide deck, but in the actual LCAP proper, you will see the full analysis and then what that means for next school year. Oh, that's still me. Sorry. And again, these are all the ed code we are required by law to make sure we put this on the slide. So if the public or anybody is interested of like what are the educational codes, that is what ed code stands for, that dictates how we develop and we present the LCAP. You can see those as well.
All right, so what's in the LCAP? The primary funds that are accounted for in the LCAP are from the local control funding formula, the supplemental funds. And those funds are specifically required to be used to serve unduplicated student groups. And so those are the groups that are listed there in the blue box. And so we specifically target the action items in the LCAP to support those student groups. And our LCFF supplemental funding for the next school year is listed on the slide. As Dr. Jimenez mentioned, we also include some other funding like title funding if it aligns with the actions, because we do braid funding together for some of our actions. But the primary purpose and requirement is for the local control funding formula supplemental dollars. Next slide, please. These are the 8 state priorities that Dr. Jimenez mentioned, and we are required to address all of these in the LCAP through our goals and our actions. And one that has been especially important tonight is the family involvement, as you heard from our DLAC parents, that we want to make sure that we're addressing all of these areas, including family engagement, as part of our plan. Next slide, please.
So as you'll see tonight, we're going to tag team this effort because I want to say right now that there are a lot of folks in the Educational Services Department, the Fiscal Department, we work hand in hand with them, and a lot of work goes into developing the LCAP and collating all those resources, and I really want to thank our folks ahead of time because I don't want to forget that portion. Can you go to the next slide? All right, so a little bit about if you're looking at the whole document, right? There is a plan summary of that section, and that section describes a little bit about our district and who we are and the students that we serve. The next section of the LCAP, when you read it, it really talks about engaging educational partners, and that is who do we consult with? How do we gather that feedback? You heard from DLAC today that they reviewed every single goal and gave feedback. We're going to talk tonight about goals and actions, which is the meat and potatoes of the LCAP. We're going to talk a little bit about how we increased or improved services for the students who are unduplicated, and that is low socioeconomically disadvantaged students, English learners, and foster youth. And then you're going to see, and we're not going to cover this, but it's in the LCAP proper, you can see some of the action tables, which are produced once you create the entire plan. Can you go to the next slide? Thank you so much. All right, a little bit about the feedback, and in the LCAP, this is called Engaging Educational Partners, and so you will see that we have an LCAP advisory committee that's composed of teachers, parents, district side administrators, and community members, and we began meeting since January. We meet monthly, and what we do is review every single goal and the data, and each of the directors that are going to be presenting in front of you review their particular actions and how are we doing, and we solicit feedback. So if you join us for those meetings, they are via Zoom, and they're about 90 minutes, and we talk about each of those goals, actions, and data, and then we solicit feedback, and we have breakout rooms. So I'm really proud of that work because it shows the commitment of our district to gather parent and input and voice. We have our District English Learner Advisory Committee that you heard last night. They gave us feedback on every goal. We also consult with all of our partners. So we consult with the Morgan Hill Federation of Teachers. We're really grateful they let us come in and present, and we gather feedback from them. We also share the LCAP in a survey specifically for our classified employees. We present to our local SELPA, our Navigating Educational Supports team, and of course, our district roundtable. And part of that feedback also includes our LCAP surveys. So we really are appreciative of all the folks who participated, and you can see who we send this survey to. And then lastly, between the time of the posting of the agenda and the formal adoption, which will occur hopefully, right, if the board approves next time we meet in June, there is the LCAP, draft of the LCAP is posted on the website along with a Google survey form where folks can give us feedback in between this process so that we can take that feedback. All right, so a little bit about the online survey. Sometimes people call it the Hanover survey, but it is the LCAP survey. This year, we were very fortunate that we did two administrations of that survey. Each one was a 2-week window. That's something that people gave us feedback. Last year, we did like a 3-week window, and people said it wasn't as appropriate. We would love to spend it, so that's what we did. So we had a window in February and a window in February and another one in March. And we had a total of 3,349 people complete the survey, which we're really excited. That did include students, so our students are encouraged to take it 5th through 12th grade. So we value student voice in our district. 86 parents, 178 staff members, and 70 community members at large who don't have children in the district who completed the survey as well. So that's a really good sample size by any measure. All right. Some of the things that you see in the LCAP proper that we're required to put and to describe and to be able to reference to are any indicators that are on the red. So if you recall from our presentation in December when we talked about the dashboard, right? And red is the lowest indicator with blue being the highest. Any areas as a district-wide that we have on the red, we have to be able to write to that. So in the first part of the LCAP, where we talk about where we are as a district, if there's any areas in red, and I'm proud to say we don't as a district, we would have to be able to write to them. We're required to address the needs of English learners, And we're also required specifically to address the needs of long-term English learners. We have to be able to talk about our students with disabilities and differentiated assistance. I'm really proud to say, again, from our presentation in March, that we have no schools in differentiated assistance, and that speaks highly to the work. Like, this is like a big, like this one, of our incredible staff, our teachers, our administrators, where we've gotten out of differentiated assistance and we're on a really good journey to success.
Can you describe for folks what that is? Just differentiate?
Sure.
I know what the term is, but not everybody's familiar with the term.
Sure. So when you score a particular, I was going to say gradient, or on the dashboard, if you have any of those red indicators, you are required then, you get on a list by the state of California and your county office of education. And then what you have to do is meet with that school or that group, depending on what's selected. And then you have to do a root cause analysis. So it's a very long process for the sites. So if you were a school that you were selected in the indicator, because I'll pick something at random, like suspension rates, for example. That means as a school, you have to meet with myself, you have to meet with our team, we have to meet with the county office, you have to do a root cause analysis, you have to create a plan that's separate from the SIPSA, which all of you approved. Thank you very much for that. It's separate than everything else of like, how are you going to improve outcomes for that item that was identified as a red indicator? And it is a very long process. And so we've had a number of schools that participated through that process. And then once you put those things in place that you've identified and you're no longer on the red on the dashboard, you get out of DA. So I think that speaks so highly to the work that's been done at our district.
And how many did we have in different, I'm remembering 2 or 3 from several years ago?
We had about, we'll look to Julie, it was about 8. In 2023, it was about 8 schools,
Wow.
8 schools, and then one that was CSI, which is specific to graduation for continuation school. We went from 9, if you count CSI, to 2 to 0.
I know I asked you to go quickly, but I hope you don't mind pausing on that.
No, you're good.
Thank you.
You're good.
Thank you.
Yes, absolutely.
So this slide is basically a sort of compressed or compacted overview of the numerous data points that we look at as we align with the 8 straight priorities throughout the LCAP. What you see here are 22 metrics listed, but even within those, there are sub-bullets to sub-bullets to sub-bullets. So when we look at all the metrics we look at, it's over 75. Which is why we probably have a 300-page LCAP. So this is just a visual representation of all those metrics.
So this is an overview of the LCAP survey data, or the Hanover survey, for Goal 1. So Goal 1 is around preparation for college, career, and civic life. It speaks to all of our academics. This specific picture includes all of the focus goals under Goal 1. So it includes elementary, middle school, and high school academics, as well as support for English learners and diverse student learners. And you can see kind of a high-level sampling of the survey data. When we looked at the data, we looked at the full report and the deep analysis, but this is just a sampling for your review.
So this one, part of the survey is around Goal 2, family and community engagement. Overall, respondents report positive communication with teachers and staff. Parents most commonly receive updates through Parent Square, communications sent to them from teachers through various different platforms, emails, text messages, newsletters. Parents and staff largely agree that the district schools regularly engage families and the greater community. However, staff have higher opinions about family engagement than parents. Parent respondents commonly report attending back to school night or open house at 89%. And there are various other metrics on there, such as what events did they attend, and various ways that they partner with our schools.
Hi, everyone.
So when we think about goal 3 around student engagement, SEL, and school climate, the things that I'd like to highlight, I would think it's interesting to see how students think, teachers, and their parents, as much as we like to think that we are on page with our kids, we're not. And so it's interesting just to see the difference of how students are responding in their student voice and how we think we are doing. And so it's nice to be able to compare those data points and see like what their experiences are in our school and use that voice to look at how we can improve our programs. Also, I'd like to highlight that our students, gives us a good glimpse into feeling how they think and look at school. And it gives us a platform to really launch off of to say, okay, how can we then have conversations with them about those improvements? Also, a side note, I really appreciate that one of the things they talk about is how students, how parents respond and they indicate that schools are helping, they feel that we're helping their students be successful. And so the parent view is very positive of how we're really supporting our students around engagement, social emotional learning, and school climate.
All right, the next couple of slides are just a high-level restatement of our LCAP goals. So if we get the next slide. So this is goal 1. As I mentioned, this is our academic goal. So it includes elementary, middle school, and high school academics, as well as English learner success and supporting diverse student learners. Next slide, please. Goal 2 is our family and community engagement goal. And then goal 3 and goal 3.1 speak to our student engagement, social emotional learning, school climate, and wellness.
For a nanosecond, I saw the soccer ball and I was like, oh, the World Cup.
Yeah, I know.
All right, it just brought me back. Okay.
Started today.
Right, back to LCAP. Okay. So as we move forward with tonight's discussion, we're going to give you a little sampling of each of the goals and a little sampling. And I say sampling because to Crystal's point, Crystal, I mean, we are all going to wear t-shirts that just say Crystal's the best. Crystal is the person who helps us with all the metrics. And I can't tell you, well, I can tell you right now, the amount of hours it takes, right, and reporting to get all that information for us to be able to, dive into it and really do a deep dive analysis. And I know we just kind of glossed over some of those data points, but there is lots of great information in the LCAP proper about just the results and the data that we gleaned. So tonight we're going to go through each of those goals and we're going to do a little sampling of the metrics, a little sampling of those actions and expenditures, a little sampling of the summary analysis because we're required to analyze like what were our successes and what were some of the challenges. And then full metrics and actions can be found in the document for your perusal.
All right, so our first goal is goal 1. Next slide, please. This is a sampling of our metrics, and what I'm going to walk you through is the first column is the metric, the second column is our baseline from 23-24. The year 2 outcome is the next column, and that last column is the baseline difference. So when we're looking at the baseline difference, when we're looking at the first 2 items, the mid or above grade level, we want to see that one going up. Also, we want to see early on grade level going up. The 1 grade level below may or may not go up depending on how students are moving. So we really want, if you start at the bottom where it says 3 or more grade levels below, we want to see negative numbers there. And then ideally the 2 grade levels below would also be going down because as our students move up, we want to see those numbers moving. But if we had a large number of students in that 3 or more below, as they move up, it may possibly create a positive number in the 2 grade levels below because they moved up and made that bigger. But eventually our goal is to get all of our students all the way up to the top. Next slide, please. Here's a sampling of some of our actions. We picked the ones that are at the district level. And so we have our comprehensive literacy plan, our math alignment plan, and those kinds of things. And you can see the budgeted expenditures that would go with some of those actions. Next slide, please. There's a lot of words on this page. But we're really talking about how we are aligning our work district-wide. And our huge focus this year, as we've talked to you about in previous presentations, is around our math alignment work. And so we've been really working with our elementary schools around the P3 math alignment for in partnership with the California Educational Partners on counting collections and helping our students really have a deep understanding of math. And as those students move up through the grade spans, we're looking forward to seeing that impact in high school in those IM or the integrated math 1, 2, and 3 classes. In addition to that, we're working with Silicon Valley Mathematics Initiative across our whole system to help keep that hands-on learning and meaning making across our whole system. And we're really excited that that work is going to be informing our math pilot adoption process across our whole system. So we are doing elementary, middle school, and high school math adoptions. And it's been really exciting to see our teachers using what they've learned through these math professional development series to critically analyze the curriculums that they're looking at and ask really mindful questions of the vendors when they're coming to present. Next slide, please. All right, goal 1.1 is elementary academics. And here is a sampling of the iReady data. So again, we're looking to see that the students are increasing because this is our overall, oh, there we go. It's the grade level at or above. And so we would like to see positive numbers in that baseline difference column. Another thing to keep in mind when we're looking at these data points is that the students in the baseline column, like if we look at kindergarten, those students would be third graders in this next column. So as the students move up, right, we're looking at different groups of students when you look across. Next slide, please. And here's a sampling of our actions and expenditures. So we are continuing to focus on our K-3 early learning literacy, and we've received great feedback from our teachers in K-3 and also as the students are moving up, that they're having much stronger foundational literacy skills and they're coming in better prepared to access their reading. We're continuing with our reading intervention teachers. We've also had really positive feedback and data around the students' foundational skills improvement through the reading intervention program, and also our TK mathematics. Next slide, please. So here's the goal analysis on this one. Again, talking about continuing our work with the California Mathematics Framework and the work that we've done this year with our TK program. And so in here you can see it referred to as UPK because the state refers to preschool through transitional kindergarten as the universal pre-kindergarten experience. And we've been working really hard with our administrators and with our teachers to better understand what is play-based learning and how that can span from child-directed to adult-facilitated to adult-directed, and how do we move through those spaces during the school day to make sure our students enjoy coming to school and are developing all of the skills that they need to be successful when they go to kindergarten. Next slide, please.
Right. 1.2, which is still under the goal 1 of academics, this is what we call the focus goals, right, is about middle school academics. And I have to say, I think I've shared this before, that I'm really proud in our district LCAP that we really call out how intentional we are. There are some LCAPs that you read, and I've read a few in my life, that are just very generic in nature. And I think the intentionality, it makes for a little longer document, right? But the intentionality of really thinking about overall academics, specifically things that you need for elementary, middle school, high school, diverse learners and English learners, speaks to the intentionality and the value of our work. So this is the focus goal for the middle school. These are some of the metrics that you see that. And as Dr. Julia Aguirre Jacinto said, we look at the baseline, we look at what were our outcomes for year 2, and then what was the difference. And then some of the expenditures that we highlighted for you are our wonderful math TOSA, Cindy Warkaki, who is amazing, who does phenomenal work. And we included that as part, that's part of our actions for the LCFF supplemental. AVID is a program that has been in our district for a little bit of time, but we have relaunched it this year with intentionality and purpose for college and career readiness. So we get to tell you more about that probably in this coming school year, with a couple of other things that we are working on for college and career exploration, specifically for middle school. So we're very excited. That's coming up. Middle school counselors are something that's budgeted through our LCAP, and as well as some of the programs that we know are very intentional in nature to support those transition years, right? So that's the 6th grade connection, which is a program that we run during the summer to make sure that those incoming 6th graders feel welcome and connected and have a sense of community before they even start school. So you'll see that there, but there are more expenditures obviously in the LCAP proper. If you go to the next one, this talks a little bit about, like, you're going to see a recurring refrain, some successes and some challenges. We have had a lot of success with the AVID. We relaunched it this year, like I said, and we have AVID in both of our comprehensive middle schools, and it has been re-energized. If you know anything about Britain, they have the Britain AVID Minute every Monday, and everybody's talking about that. We have great implementation of universal design for learning at our middle school, so that's very exciting. I think exciting for us to see this year as we looked at those metrics across is that we saw significant gains for our students, but really we saw a lot of gains for our socioeconomically disadvantaged students, our Latino students, and our English learners, and our students with disabilities in some of those areas that we collected metrics. The challenge, again, is we would love to give professional development across the board to all of our middle school teachers, but again, we don't have that many substitutes. So I think one of the challenges is thinking about the ways that we can be nimble and adapt and provide professional development that teachers need in a way that is in cohorts, right? So not everyone's out at the same time. I'm really excited because one of the other things that I wanted to highlight, which gives you a little bit of flavor of where we're going to. We've had Equal Opportunity School partnership in our high schools for the last 15 years. So Equal Opportunity School is a great organization that partners with both of our comprehensive high schools in doing a survey with students about what are their goals and dreams, and like who's the adult on campus you can connect with. And the idea is that that's another data point for us to be able to look at and think about the ways that we are ensuring that we have equal access for all of our students and all of our advanced courses, including dual enrollment courses. And this year, I brought the suggestion to our middle school principals, what if we did equal opportunity schools, and let's get that baseline data in our middle school, right? So we have a data point for what our students are telling us is really important to them at middle school. And all of your principals said, let's do it. So we have data for this year's survey, and we're really excited to take a deep dive in it. Your middle school principals and I created a little group called In the Middle. I was a middle school principal. And so we'll be meeting on a regular basis this coming school year to really plan and think about how do we use this data and what's the impact to the things that we're already doing. In addition to that, in our high school, and my friend Crystal's going to talk about our high school, we do a lot of surveys for career and college exploration. And this year, I brought the idea to our middle school principals. Like, what in addition to, every time they get a call from me, like, oh my gosh, now what, right? But what if in addition to thinking about the equal opportunity, we surveyed our middle school students about what are their hopes and dreams and aspirations for college? What kind of things are they interested in? Because a way to shore up those electives is we got to know what kids are interested in, right? Like, I think I know what they're interested. To Jesse's point, like sometimes adults, we make assumptions, right? And then we get the survey and we're like, oh, that was totally different. And so we gave our middle school students a college and career interest survey, and they gave us lots of great feedback and information on what do they value, where do they want to, the aspirations, what kind of college do they want to go to, what careers they're interested in. We're going to bring you more information next school year on like, what are we doing with that data to ensure that students in middle school are getting CTE and career exploration that they really need as well. So those are challenges, but also successes at the same time. Next slide. And I'm going to turn it over so Crystal may talk about high school.
All right, so if middle school's in the middle, high school's on the edge. Next slide, please. So this is really just a sampling of our high school metrics. We have a number of them, and I just want to point out a couple. In particular, our graduation rate. As we know, we were at 95.5% for the class of 2025, which is a growth of 2.7% over the baseline year. Our goal with our LCAP this round of LCAP was 95%. So that is a goal that's a metric that we've exceeded by year two. Other growth, in terms of UC, CSU, A through G university entrance requirements. We continue to have growth in our completers, our CTE pathway completers, as well as the number of students that are completing a pathway in high school, right between grades 10 and 12. We also we did see a slight dip in our integrated math 1, and that is, right, Dr. Jimenez and Dr. Aguirre Jacinto have mentioned the work with math. That's We are aware of that and certainly working towards that with our work with the math framework and math adoption that will include PD that would support students and our teachers as well. Next slide, please. And so here we see a sampling of our actions and expenditures. We focus on our freshmen on track. We have seen growth in our freshmen on track. The number of students that are not failing classes, the number of students that are A through G eligible, as well as those that are deemed college success ready, meaning that they have B's or better in all of their high school classes. And so our freshmen on track coordinators or coaches are a big part of that. We also see an agreement, right? Our CalSoap coaches that are on our high school campuses that work one-on-one with our students and really complement the work of our academic counselors. And then you see some money dedicated towards the Seal of Civic Engagement, which is something that we're really going to take on next year as a school district. And so goal analysis. So some of our successes, I kind of touched on a couple of them, right? We see some progress in our metrics where we're hitting those important, those key elements that we deemed important, graduation rate, completers, et cetera, things that we find key to our student success in high school and then post-high school. One of the successes I do want to point out is our enrollment in CTE, AP, dual enrollment. We've had a growth in enrollment overall, but also when you look at our student groups, right? You look at our students with disabilities, you look at our students that come from disadvantaged backgrounds, you look at our students that are learning a second language or third language, whatever it might be. Increases in enrollment in student groups as well, along with pass rates, right? So our students are not only challenging themselves, but they're also succeeding in these courses, which is super important for us. Obviously, our success on the SBAC at the high school level last year was huge. And so all of that encompasses our successes. And then, challenges, like I pointed out earlier, math, right? We see especially with IM1, and then the effects that it has in the future. And so that's certainly something that we continue to strive to close that gap. And I will hand it off to my colleague.
All right, so our next focus goal is English learners. And again, this speaks to our intentionality. So if you look at our numbers, it's about 1 in 5 of our students is an English learner. I will do the caveat that I do every time I talk about English learner is that population changes, right? As students get reclassified, they're no longer considered English learners. So I want you to keep that in the back of your mind as you're looking at metrics because those numbers change, right? So you have a sampling of our metrics for English learners. Like I said, we're very intentional. We inspect what we expect. And so you'll see that students had gains in reclassification rates. Some of the area that Crystal pointed out that we're taking a deep dive into is integrated math 1, right? That is something that we know is a gatekeeper for students, and we want to make sure that we are closing those gaps. But in the number of students, you see that some of the data that Crystal mentioned as well regarding specifically with students who are English learners of how many completed AP are participating in advanced placement and CTE enrollment, et cetera. And then the number of students who we grew in that English Learner Progress Indicator, lovingly known as the LP for those who do the work every day. And that's the indicator on the dashboard. So there's a number of metrics there.
Dr. Jimenez?
Yes.
Trustee Andrade, did you have a clarifying question here?
Yes, a clarifying question.
Yes.
Are we still, for IM1, you were talking about, when I'm looking at the percentage of EL ninth graders passing, are we still using CPM, that textbook? Okay, then that makes sense. That's all. That makes sense.
That's why I think for us to put the caveat of we're working on that adoption, right?
Yeah,
Teachers are going to pilot.
I just wanted to clarify because that's a very text-heavy math book, not a lot of problems. As a Gen Xer, it looks nothing like my algebra book from back in the day. So, okay, thank you for the clarification.
Yeah. Absolutely, thank you. And then if you go to the next slide, you will see a sampling of some of the actions and expenditures because we are required to provide you a sampling. So you'll see that we have an English development teacher and special assignment. Then that's a TOSA, right? A teacher and special assignment dedicated to supporting our wonderful staff across the district of improving services for English learners. We've got some professional development for facilitators, professional development regarding ELD, English language development curriculum, which is required by law. And then you'll see there again that we called out long-term English learners, and those are the students who've been classified as English learners for 6 or more years. And so we're required to provide additional support. A couple of meetings ago, the board approved a long-term English course for those students at the high school level. And that's an example of an action with a metric that has culminated in that implementation of the LTIL course that will begin at both of our high schools next school year. So if you go to the next slide, talk a little bit about our successes. Obviously, for those of you who participated, in our reclassification ceremony, there was lots to celebrate, and that is the culmination of this particular goal. We want to make sure that students have the English proficiency that they need in order to take advantage of everything that we have to offer in our district. And we're really happy to see more of our students, and again, that's that equal opportunity partnership along with other data pieces where we're seeing more English learners participate in CTE, even advanced courses and including dual enrollment. And some of the challenges is that group changes every year, right? A little bit, so that's a little bit of a challenge. I think part of what we're doing as well is refining those assessment processes and make sure that we are improving those internal reclassification procedures to make sure that we're catching every student and that nobody falls through the cracks. And I think we're going to continue to work on this goal because it's a very, very important goal. All right.
So goal 1.5 is really about making sure that our diverse learners have really meaningful, equitable access and a strong sense of belonging in the least restrictive environment. Here are some of our key metrics. In some cases, negative is a good thing. So it's working. We've made growth in having our students in the least restrictive environment, and really good growth in college and career readiness. And like everybody else, we have some work to do in math. So some of our key actions are, we have some inclusion, PD and coaching. We want to make sure that our teachers and our paraprofessionals feel well equipped to support students in the general education environment. We are also working on an inclusion framework, a roadmap that will make sure that we see that belonging within our district, what it will look like, and this helps pay for teachers to participate in that and other staff, paraprofessionals participate. Next one. So some of our great successes. One really great thing is we had our first full year of a full inclusion preschool. We partnered with Catalyst, and we had a full year of this, and it's really great to see this because when we start students in a separate environment, it's harder to see them begin to be included. So starting them in general education with their peers is a great, strong foundation for an inclusive district.
Good evening again. So I'm here to talk about Goal 2, Family and Community Engagement. Our goal is to promote family and community engagement and participation in the education process for all students, foster a culture of inclusive family and community partnership that inspires all school community members to actively participate in and support student success, thereby creating a cohesive and supportive educational environment conducive to academic achievement, social, emotional growth, and lifelong learning. So we have a sampling of our metrics here. The first one is on the participation rates of individuals at the FACE Center. Our baseline was at 193 individuals, and as of when this presentation was completed, we had 635. We've had a few events since then. And we started also collecting demographic groups data around how many ELs students with socioeconomically disadvantaged and students with disabilities. Those are students of the data we reported. Some families do not report the names of their children, so we're not able to track that data, but that's of the data that we collected. And then we also have some metrics around implementation of the Family and Community Engagement Plan. One of the metrics around cultural proficiency, we had an increase from 64 to 72% of families who feel their child's culture is reflected at their school. And then parents who feel that they are welcome and able to participate and be involved went from 69 to 88%. And then volunteering increased slightly among families that volunteer. We also have a sampling of some of our actions and expenditures. The first one is around our school site bilingual community liaisons who do innumerable tasks at the school sites every day. And so very invaluable resource that we have. Our community liaison professional development that we provide for them on an ongoing basis. And also our parent education, including BICE, which we had recently a graduation for. And then the last one is around supporting our school sites to also participate in getting the engagement of their families. Our successes include enhancing the coordination and communication through the addition of our FACE lead, supporting multilingual families with bilingual liaisons, expanding FACE Center programs and services, and fostering family leadership opportunities across regular meetings and workshops. The district also established committees to standardize engagement practices, improve data collection systems to monitor participation, and then strengthen partnerships with community organizations to expand services. We also developed customer service standards and advanced infrastructure for consistent home visit program. These initiatives demonstrate our commitment to equitable access, strong relationships with families, and sustainable engagement systems. We're very proud and excited about our successes, but we also know that there is room for improvement. Several areas that need improvement include the need for more targeted outreach to ensure equitable engagement among all family groups, challenges in recruiting enough staff for resource development, varying levels of consistency across schools, and limitations in fully implementing our customer service and FACE initiatives due to staffing and time constraints. Despite all of our challenges, however, we remain committed to our core objectives, focusing on relationship building, equitable access, and continuous improvement, and using our lessons learned to guide our future actions.
All right, goal 3, student engagement. Next slide, please. So this is a sampling of our key metrics. So we do attendance rates for P2, which is our second semester. We do baseline versus 2-year outcome. So we have a 1% increase, which we're super excited about. District-wide, we do our chronic absenteeism rates. We're down 2.9%, which is also great. A number of home visits for our care team, completion rate of our social emotional lessons for K through 5th grade, number of community events and outreach that we attend, and then number of school activities that our SRO is active and present for. Next slide. So this is a sampling of our actions and expenditures. So we have school culture and climate, supports and trainings, collaborative partnerships for social emotional support, our foster and homeless support. So this could be VTA passes, hygiene kits, school supplies. We have our care program, which we have our school student support specialists who help connect families to resources at all of our school sites. And then we have our School Link Services coordinators that work here at the district office, and they're connecting all of our schools to outside organizations and partnerships that are community-based. So some of our successes this year is we fully implemented Beyond SST platform and enhanced student intervention coordination. We're expanding the school safety through comprehensive threat assessment training. And then we've launched the crew leadership program to support our incoming freshmen. So this is our link crew, and it's students basically holding events, and they're student led. So they're leading our incoming freshmen throughout the year. They have like a leader, and then they're putting on activities for them so they feel welcomed into that community at their high schools. It's at both high schools. It's amazing, and it's a very special program, and we're really excited about it. Some of the challenges we faced is we had some gaps in our care program due to some people leaving and some people coming in and getting trained. And then we also we're continuing to face chronic absenteeism. Even though we're getting better, it's still an issue. And so that's prompting additional engagement on our part through attendance campaigns. We just finished March Madness back in March. We'll continue to do the September one as well. And then we also have expanded opportunities through our Saturday Academy Flex. Next slide.
I know you guys missed me. I'm back again. Just a little bit, I know. Okay, so Focus Goal 3 is around our wellness centers, social emotional learning and development, but essentially it's our wellness centers and wellness program. I'm not going to read that next slide. So a couple of things we highlighted is the number of visits to our wellness center has gone down during class time. I like to accredit that to the engagement that's happening in our classrooms. Yes. So when you have high engagement in classrooms and positive culture on school, they don't necessarily have that same need to have to be in our wellness centers at that same capacity. In addition, I think we're also really working at how do we identify the continuum of care and wellness, and we're and we're addressing where do kids need to be in that continuum, tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3, and how do they fit in that wellness space? The number of visits for students during non-class time means that the wellness centers are still cool, right? They still want to hang out there, so they're still going. So we have an increase of non-class time for kids to come in and use that space to calm down, to hang out, to have opportunities to do art or build relationships with each other and people. So we're still seeing them go in a kind of a different capacity. The number of referrals to the wellness center has also gone down. Again, that same contribution, right? When we see students engaging in their school and their relationships, we might not need that same type of referral to support in wellness, but they're coming in a different way. We do see a higher number of referrals to outside services. And what this tells me is that the need is a higher need, a higher tier. So we're engaging with our partners, right? We're working with our CBOs, we're working with outreach, we're working with that higher support for a lot of our children needing a different kind of help and layer of intervention. And so we are having an increase in referral to outside agencies. Also, we've increased the number of partnerships we have. So we're able to connect kids with different kinds of things like mentorship, with, late night gym, or with, not necessarily work internships, but internships to build relationships in our community and participate in things. So those outside agencies isn't always necessarily mental health. It could be like, oh, we're going to connect you to a mentor. We're going to connect you to, another way for you to be engaged in positive things. So that number's higher for a variety of different reasons. And then we have also increased the number of mental health and engagement activities. That tier 1 school engagement is huge. So we want students to feel welcome and involved and participate in their school. So the number of those lower tiered events are happening at the school sites through our wellness team. Next slide. And these are the main buckets that we support through wellness, right? It's our staff, our amazing wellness team that do the work. One of the ways that we're trying to provide support for these folks is, I'm going to throw it out there, is our Medi-Cal billing, our Medi-Cal and insurance billing. We got our first reimbursement check. Woo woo, it's framed in my office. We got money back. What? Okay, so I'm going to throw it out there. We really want, as we start to recoup some of that reimbursement money and parents give us their consent and their information, we can get more. And so that's one of the ways we're trying to provide more support for our wellness program and continue those services. Next slide, please. So some of the successes is really looking at how do we expand, again, those partnerships, how do we expand opportunities for our wellness team to engage with our students, how do we expand through this billing opportunity. We also have started to engage in residency programs for interns. So we have a residency program for academic counselors, for wellness therapists, as well as next year we have a new one where we got a grant for
interns for our psychs. So we're able to take on intern psychs as a residency program too to help support this work. So we kind of have a funnel residency program. And so we're really trying to build our own, grow our own, and really help support students all along that continuum. The challenge around Goal 3 and mental health is a challenge. It changes. It's never the same, right? Our students have different needs coming in, and they have different needs from one year to the next. And so we are constantly shifting and changing and trying to meet that demand that is never stagnant. It's the river that we continue to float in and try and, gauge its depth and do the best that we can. And so that's always the challenge, is how do we do that in the best way we can do it? That's all for me.
You're having too much fun.
Hey, you know me. That's the way we do it.
Yes, sir. Okay. The next section, we have a lot of fun in ESD. The next section of our presentation has to do with the budget overview for parents. So in the LCAP proper and in your agenda packet, you will see the budget overview for parents. So basically what it does, it takes the expenditures, the actions, and it creates like a table so that parents at a glance can easily see how much revenue is coming in, what are you expending those, and then if they want the actions and the details, they can go to the LCAP, right? But it's basically a summary. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to our wonderful director of fiscal, who's going to get a tattoo that says I worked on the LCAP too. And we partner together and we've been working together on the LCAP since January. So I'm really grateful for the support that Doris and her team in that partnership.
Good evening, everyone. As you can see on the chart, the district is projecting to receive about $135.8 million in revenue. The majority of the funding is about 75% comes from the local control funding formula known as LCFF. Within that amount, approximately 6%, which is 7.8, is what is intended to support the highest needs for student population. The funding structure underscores the importance of strategically aligning resources to support student achievement and goals outlined in our LCAP. Thank you.
Thank you. I think that slide is really key because sometimes what we get questions on and as a team is that sometimes the LCAP is confused for the district budget, right? And so we have to keep saying, no, it's a small little part of the budget, right? It's only 6%. The only funding that is reflected on the LCAP is that $7.7 million, and we make that dollar stretch, I will tell you. But that's an important piece so that there is no confusion as to the different sets of budgets. And now I will turn it over to Crystal, who's going to give you a quick snapshot of the local indicators and why they're important.
All right. So the local indicators really are to provide it's in the name, just context for each different district on a metric, and we'll go through those. So we're looking at basic services, implementation of state standards, parent engagement, student engagement, and then student access to a broad course of study. Next slide, please. So our first one, basic services. So we're looking at, do we have appropriately assigned teachers, the number of students and percentage that have their own copies of standard aligned instructional materials, and then facilities. Next slide. And so this is the implementation of state standards. You'll see it broken down. You'll see the 5 different standards here: professional development, instructional materials, and we have put sort of the overall rating that we have provided. So you'll see overall full implementation for all of these, with the exception of implementation of standards for CTE, PE, world language, etc. For that, we've provided a rating of full implementation and sustainability. We've done a lot of work in these areas over the last 2 years, and so we see ourselves in a point where we are the systems we put in place are sustainable at this point. Next slide, please. So parent involvement and family engagement. We look at numerous metrics for this metric. including parent university courses, participation offerings, PIQE, which is the Parent Institute for Quality Education that Corina just mentioned. We look at parent invitations for our parent district roundtable meetings. And that's just at the district level. You also have what's happening across 14 different school sites in the district. And then you have some of the results here for the Hanover survey for this year. Next slide, please. Student engagement and school climate. We had our most of our 5th through 12th graders take this survey, which was over 3,000 students. You see the results listed under LCAP Goal 3, and you see some of the findings here, right? So 93% agree or strongly agree that they do want to do well in school. So now that we have this captive audience, what are we doing to, one, grow that to 100%? And if they want to do well, what are we doing to keep them engaged? Next goal. And so this is the last one, which is access to a broad course of study. This is where we really look at the courses that we offer across the board at our high schools and our middle schools. And so all of our courses, the majority of our courses are college prep courses, meaning students receive, when they successfully pass those courses, receive A through G university entrance requirement credit for those courses. We look at advanced courses, honors, AP, dual enrollment. We look at CTE and other elective courses. We also look at the students, and I know our special education department tracks this as well as the state, the number of students enrolled in those sort of separate classes, right, those special day classes, and to minimize the over-enrollment in those classes and provide a broader access to as many students as possible. And this is where we also discuss, right, our partnership with Equal Opportunity Schools, which was discussed earlier. And then something that Dr. Jimenez mentioned is bringing that down to the middle school, because it's how do we connect what's happening at the high school to the middle school, so that once our students start thinking about high school, the first time they hear about it is not when they're in front of their academic counselor going into 9th grade. But they've experienced this and they're ready for what's coming in high school. Next slide, please. And so if we look at barriers, for us, the more opportunity we can provide, the better. And so a barrier for us will always be, how do we provide more opportunity for our students? How do we get more things in front of them so that by the time they leave us and they cross that graduation stage, they've either tried a whole plethora of things that they might be interested, or they're really sure about what they want to do because we've been able to provide those opportunities. And so this also talks about, discusses, right, the survey data that we've gathered, not just from the LCAP survey, but I can tell you that each individual school also does their own sort of set of surveys, one-on-one interviews, empathy interviews, et cetera, to gather that student voice and that student feedback so that you can continue to improve year over year, which a lot of us then included in our SIPSAs for next year. So, and I think that is it.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much. So if you go to the next slide, my last portion is to really talk about the federal addendum. And so at the beginning, I talked about how the federal addendum is required by the Every Student Succeeds Act. And that is the act passed by Congress that provides a categorical funding, which is Title I in our district, Title II, Title III, and Title IV. We have to make sure that we submit the LCAP, the federal addendum has to be submitted as part of that funding. And we're encouraged to present it and required to present it along with our LCAP, because if you go through the LCAP document, you will see that sometimes, not all the actions, but some of the actions have braided finance. In other words, they're paid with both LCFF supplemental dollars and maybe categorical funds, right? And so the public has an interest to know how we're expending those dollars, and hence why this entire packet, if you want to see the federal addendum, it kind of looks like this. It's a lot of reading. And so we gave you a little synopsis of what that is. If you go to the next slide. Thank you. So the LCAP, this is to, again, for our public as well, understands, is it explains how we are spending those supplemental dollars to make sure that we are providing services and support for socially economically disadvantaged students, English learners, and foster youth. And then here is a sampling of what are some of those things that we spend those LCAP supplemental dollars. If you go to the next slide. The federal addendum really covers, these are those categorical funds. Sometimes they're called soft dollars as well. And that's Title I, which is how to improve basic programs operated by the state and local agencies. That's all of us in the district. And those allocations are given to the sites that whose students qualified for Title I and are socially economically disadvantaged. Title II is another categorical program, and that is to support effective instruction. And we use that allocation normal in our district really to support our induction program in our district and interns. Title III is a categorical fund that's specifically designed to improve the outcomes for English language learners. And Title IV is, sounds like a catch-all where it says student support and academic enrichment grant, but it really is about instruction, professional development, and then the integration of technology education in our schools. So we are required by law to present that because some of the actions in the LCAP have braided funding, like I said. Next slide, please. And there's going to be a lot of words coming your way, and I apologize because we have to give the public a little synopsis of that. So part of what your ESD team does is the actual addendum basically says you are receiving Title I funding that's intended to support students who are socially economically disadvantaged. So what are you doing for these things? And there are about 10 prompts that we have to complete, basically saying how we're supporting our students across our district. What is our strategy? What are our goals? And what are our actions? And a lot of those align, again, 100% with what we're doing in our LCAP. So this is a synopsis of the writing that we did as a district to talk about like how we have tiered support, how we have an alignment and coherent of that vision and those strategies, and how that strategy is really implemented in our LCAP to support students. And so this is just a really tiny little synopsis. If you go to the next one, I think this is a synopsis, and when I mean little, I mean this is one page, and then there were 12 pages we had to write to. This is just for Title III. So I said, so for each of the categorical programs, there's about 10 different prompts, and this is the first one that says, "What are you doing to support English learners?" And you just can't put a little snippet. You have to be really complete because there's a lot of like additional prompts, like, did you say this? Did you add this? Did you add this? And so my apologies for you if you're reading that, you're like, boy, this Jimenez, man, she had a lot to say. And that is because behind the scenes, there were a lot of prompts to get through. And we want to make sure that we're doing our due diligence, both with the LCAP and how we tell the story about the work that we're doing. So I see this, even though, that's the nerd in me probably, right? In writing this, but it's really an opportunity to tell the success and the story of what we're doing together in Morgan Hill, both in the LCAP and in the federal addendum. So anybody who picks up any of our documents can see where we're going, what we're doing, and in service to our students. Go to the next slide. So that actually concludes our presentation about LCAP, the federal addendum, and the local indicators. Today was information and a lot of questions and answers from trustees. We're going to be opening it up to questions, and then we'll be back June 25th. To ask for approval of the LCAP and the indicators and the federal addendum. And we'll take your questions now.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Jimenez. Is there any truth that we're going to now have a 12-question pop quiz we have to all pass?
Yes. All essay form, no multiple choice.
Oh, please, we'll be here till midnight. No, more seriously, thank you very much to everybody. That's a massive amount of work that goes into this. I'll ask my colleagues, have any questions or comments?
They were already answered.
Okay. Anything else? Trustee Gardner, please go ahead, and then Marquez.
No, this is excellent. I mean, it's a huge undertaking, and I understand that. So thank you for that. And this may not even be something you can answer, but I'm a little confused about it because on the slide with it says the basic services met, and we did 0 for the Williams audit passed, good repair. I guess I'm a little confused because when we were talking about the bond recently, and Ricky Carrillo sat in this front row and said that there were leaky roofs. So do we have leaky roofs? Do we not have leaky roofs? I am genuinely not sure about that.
Want to speak to the SIPSA and the rating?
So that deals with, it's part of the every year, there's Ricky and team do a facilities review. When you approve the SIPSA tonight, there's a portion on that SIPSA for every school that talks about the repair of schools. And then you'll see the rating for, I think it's electrical services, it'll talk about roofs, it'll talk about water fountains, and then you'll see that all of our districts are in good or good repair. I forgot the rating, but and so there are like 5 categories that are part of the Williams Act. And that's what that's referring to. So all of those are in good repair and in good working order. It doesn't mean that there might be, a work that we have to do in another place, but that refers specifically to those 5 items that are outlined in the SIPSAs.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Trustee Marquez, I think, was next, and then Altman.
Now, I was just going to say thank you for this presentation. You can tell there was a lot of heart and hard work put into these presentations, so I want to thank you all. And something that I'm very happy about is Avid. I think Avid is wonderful, so yay, Avid.
I was an Avid elective teacher for a long time, so it really does speak to my heart.
That was question 1 on the quiz. Is Avid a good thing? Trustee Altman, please.
Avid is a good thing. I'm avid about Avid. My question, well, I'll start with you. It's probably goes to Director Swift, but you might know the answer. So the numbers were going in the right direction for students leaving class to go to the Wellness Center. Was that at a specific level where the bulk of the change happened, or was it kind of uniformly spread across the grade levels?
Phone a friend.
Yeah. We're seeing the change. We have more visits to elementary schools for the most part that are being pulled out because we don't have wellness centers at elementary. So there's certain sites that we share wellness space. So they don't actually have a space that kids can go to in non-class time. So those numbers typically seem to be lower, but we're seeing the dip in kids leaving during class time at the upper levels, mostly in middle school, actually, is where we had the dip. So.
Awesome. And so, well, I guess it kind of then is being driven in to a certain degree by not having them, because my next question was what adjustments are going to be made as the need changes?
Yeah, I mean, I think what's happening and the adjustments we're making is we're looking at how do our wellness counselors address the need. Really, school-based mental health should be around that tier 2. Right? Our goal is not really to be supporting high trauma because it's really hard to send a kid back to math after they've divulged their life's deepest, darkest secrets, right? So looking at tier 2 and developing opportunities for kids to work on skills to address those triggers and be able to go to class and function and do great things that they need to do is really the focus around school-based mental health. And so as a team, we really are looking at how do we fit into the continuum of care for services in our space. So we have the tier 1 with PBIS and climate and culture and engagement activities on campus, and tier 2 is really looking at wellness and how do they support check-in, check-out, how do they support group counseling, how do they support some of those one-on-ones, not necessarily high tier trauma, and then how do we look at referrals out to help support those higher needs with WRAP services, more individual care, things like that for higher needs students. And so I think it's also looking at that breadth.
So, and the numbers are going up for non-classroom times. When I was AP at Britain, we had a student lounge that was person by volunteer mom, actually it was woman by a group of moms, always crowded.
Yeah.
And I have no doubt students are seeking a quieter, less chaotic, safe space during breaks. And I'm wondering if there's ever been any consideration to provide compensation to teachers who are willing to open up their classroom and just incorporate staff into this.
Yeah, I mean, I'm
those are the heroes.
That's not my question. Colbert.
Something to think about. It's a lot cheaper than a wellness center.
But But I do think that the Wellness Center, even in non-class times, does provide, I mean, they do different brain breaks. They do teaching kids how to, do breathing exercises during that. They teach them, how to handle different stressors in that time and space. And really lunch, brunch, and break is a very short amount of time around time to do that work, right? So their big work is working with students, working with staff. I know they go in classrooms and help support teachers. They work with our CBOs on skill streaming. They do a lot more than just those 15 to 20 minutes brunch and lunch and break.
Right. But that is still, I will contend that's still a large demand, is a safe space, quiet space.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it is, but I think they do way more than we even give them credit for. Thanks.
Thank you. Other questions or comments? Andrade?
Wanted to thank you for recognizing that CPM is a terrible textbook. And I was an employee of this district when it was adopted, and I was just appalled at the level of text that's in that textbook. And and so thank you for highlighting the data and showing and saying that it's most likely the instrument and not reflective of instruction necessarily. So thank you.
Yeah, I'm just going to echo that when I first got here 3 years ago, and was like, when somebody said this is the math book for high school, I'm like, why? Right? It needs a little bit more support. It's very language based. And so it needs a lot of scaffolding. And you can imagine if you're new to a language, right, that's an additional thing you have to do in addition to learning mathematics, right? So.
Trustee Munson?
Yeah, I did teach CPM. It is a challenge. But that's not what I want to say. I just wanted to highlight, yes, it's a lot of work. You guys did a fabulous job. Oh my gosh. I just am tired listening to it, but having to do it all day, you guys are awesome. But the sixth grade connection, I'm happy to hear that there is some support, because I know that was a big concern of a lot of parents. How do they get their sixth graders on board and engaged and that kind of thing? So thank you for that support.
Seeing no others, I'll say thank you very much. We'll see you in a couple weeks.
Yeah, thank you.
Let's not look at all the slides again next time.
You got it. I publicly want to thank the ESD team. They're an amazing group. This is how they're energetic, and they're here day in and out, and our amazing staff at each of the sites and your administrators. It is a team effort. Thank you.
Okay, we are on item 6 out of 11. Open a public hearing on the proposed budget. Assistant Superintendent Chang will be introducing the item here in a moment. We have one request for public comment on Zoom. Is that still accurate? Okay, Mr. Robel?
Yes, can you hear me?
We hear you.
Okay, great. So this is a little tangential to the topic, but related, which is again, the need to provide visibility to expenses. And so your board policy 3300 says, quote, "The board shall review all transactions entered into by the superintendent or designee on behalf of the board every 60 days. So that's pretty black and white, right? So the expenses need to be reviewed every 60 days by the board. And they're not. There's nothing on the agendas that show that, except for the ratification of contracts below 100,000. So anyway, if it's not a contract, it's not reviewed. And I don't know, if you look at other districts, so in Education Code 17605, is basically the same as the board policy. And it, again, means that trustees are entitled to review individual transactions. Most districts use a warrant register, but in any sense, vendor, amount, purpose, and date should be at an individual transaction level, or kind of what's expected, the legislative intent. I don't know what you guys are thinking. If you're just thinking aggregate total expenditures somehow is sufficient, I don't think a judge would say that's okay. So I would really like to know, Colvera, maybe you can, just briefly address this comment. How do you think you're complying with board policy 3300? You can address briefly that comment.
Well, he's under no obligation to do so.
Okay, John, maybe you can cover it. It's an important thing. Other trustees have asked for expenses. They don't get it. I think it's a worthwhile topic. and you're denying me the right to agendize something about governance, and this certainly falls squarely in there. So I'd ask that you please address it.
Not at this time. It's not
Yeah.
on the agenda.
Yeah, it's
Thank
never
you.
on the agenda. It's never on the agenda because you're hiding something.
That complete your comment, sir?
It certainly does. New leadership is needed.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, item 7. Assistant Superintendent Chang and Director Lopez will introduce the proposed 2026-27 adopted budget. Oh, that's what I just did. Oh, I'm sorry. We'll now close the public hearing. My apologies. We had our public comment, and now it's closed at 8:44. All right. Mr. Chang.
Thank you, President Horner. Before I start, is the slide on? Before I start, I do want to acknowledge Ms. Doris Lopez and her team for the countless evening, late nights, and weekends in putting the budget together. So just like the LCAP, it's also a major undertaking. Okay, so tonight I'll be providing an overview of the proposed budgets for next year. Next slide, please. Starting off with enrollment, we did a demographic study back in January 26. These are the numbers that is reflected. You can see that the demographer is projecting a slightly decline of enrollment from one year to another. But we're cautiously optimistic with all the development that's going on that this trend is going to reverse in the near future. But those are the enrollment projections for next year and the 2 years out. Next slide, please. This slide shows a comparison between the current year ADA and the funded ADA, which currently is what the district's using. It's a 3 prior year average. We have been benefiting from the 3 prior year average to use the higher ADA to calculate our LCFF entitlement. The main highlight I want to show here is that as we're starting to stabilize in our enrollment, the benefit of using the higher prior 3 year average is going to decrease going forward. Next slide, please. So this is the projections for LCFF for the current year and also for the 3 years starting 26-27. One thing I want to highlight here is that for 26-27, the statutory COLA is actually at 2.87. The state is providing a little bit of investment of an additional 1.4 COLA for LCFF calculation. And the additional percentage is tied to the paid pregnancy disability leave. This is a new law that is working its way through the legislature right now and most likely will be approved. And the significance of this legislation is that it will provide 14 weeks of paid leave. And so it's going to be a huge impact not to us, but also to other school districts in the state. But those are the LCFF projections. For next year, it's about 99, close to $100 million in 27-28. The COLA is 3.3, and LCFF projection is about 1.2 million. And then in year 28-29, the COLA is 3.09, with projected LCFF at $105 million. Next slide, please. So this slide shows a comparison for the unrestricted general fund from second interim to estimated actuals. As you can see, there's not a lot of changes from second interim to estimated actuals. Just to highlight the reserve, we're due to the savings in expenditures, we're showing a tidbit of increase in our reserve to about 22.77 from 22.60. Next slide, please. And this is a comparison for the restricted general fund from second interim to estimated actuals. In the revenue area, not a lot of changes. In the expenditure area, the two significant changes in resides in books and supplies, and this is related to the LCSSP, which is the Learning Community for School Success Program, and also dual enrollment. And then in the 5,000 object code series, it's related to the Golden State Pathway programs. Next slide, please. So these are the assumptions that we use for next year's budget and also the multi-year projection. Starting off with state revenue, the first item is the AB 602 funding. This is a special ed funding that the state provided some significant investment for next year. And so currently, actually for next year, we're projecting about $9.78 million. This is about $3 million of an increase from the current year. So when I say significant, this is very helpful for us. The second pot of money is the one-time student support professional development discretionary block grant. We're projecting to get about $6.8 million. This is one-time money. We're planning to spread this money out over a 3-year period starting next year. The third bucket is the one-time learning recovery emergency block grant. Again, this is one-time money. A few years ago, the state proposed to cut this budget, but promised to pay it back, and so now they're paying it all back in 1 year. And so the amount there is about $728,000. Prop 28 is the next bucket. These are ongoing money for music programs, music and arts. We get about $1.2 million every year. The next bucket is the Expanded Learning Opportunity Grant or program, also known as ELOP. These are ongoing as well. These for before, after school, intersession. We get about $2.6 million. The next one is ACE. This is the after school education and safety program, similar to ELOP. We use this to run our after-school program, and these are ongoing, approximately $300,000 per year. Lottery, we have two components of lottery: unrestricted, which is about $1.4 million, and then the restricted portion is about $621,000. We do get some transportation revenue to the tune of about $1.17 million. Mandated block grants, about $377,000. Mental health dollars, about $618,000. CTIG, also Career Technical Education Incentive Grant, about $380,000. And then early intervention, about $241,000. Again, these are not comprehensive, all the state money we get, but we wanted to identify certain buckets that are pretty significant. Next click, thank you. In terms of local revenue, we have redevelopment agency money. These are ongoing money as well, about $4.4 million. Interest, about $1.5 million. These are interest revenue from the cash that are currently sitting with the county controller treasury's office. And so they do generate interest revenue, and they send it to us. And we typically get about $1.5 million, but it fluctuates. Medical reimbursement, we're projecting on an ongoing basis about $500,000 that we would be reimbursed for. And then SchoolLink services, this is a grant that we received from the county, and it's about $159,000-$160,000. In terms of federal dollars, all the titles comes up to about $1.5 million. We do get about $275,000 for our migrant ed program, and then $2 million for our special ed program. In terms of key assumptions for next year and also the multi-year projection, every year we built in a step and column increase. We use a percentage, about 1.75, equates to about $1.4 million per year that we built into our budget. For CalSTRS, the rate, fortunately, is stagnant at 19.1 for all 3 years. CalPERS rate fluctuates, so this next year is going to be 26.4, year 27, 28, 26.8, and then year 28, 29, we actually see a decrease. So this is the first that is happening in many, many years, since probably 2013.
Well over a decade.
So, hopefully the trends keeps going downward. Next bullet. Okay. In terms of contribution, special ed contribution, we're projecting that to go up by about $500,000 each year. So next year is 15.5, 27, 28, 16 million, and then in 28, 29, about $16.5 million. And then we're required to contribute 3% to our routine maintenance account for repairs and maintenance. Next click, please. So this sections capture all the grants that will be expiring at the end of either next year or the year afterward. And so we talked about the Learning Recovery Grant. It's a one-time money that we're getting next year, but we're spending all that money. So all that position that's going to be paid with that money, with that pot, is going to be transferred back to the unrestricted general fund. The next grant that will be expiring at the end of next year, we talked about the Learning Community for School Success Program. So about $185,000 will be transferred from restricted to unrestricted, starting in year 27, 28. The next program is the California Community Schools Partnership Program. That grant will be expiring at the end of 27, 28. So in 28, 29, we'll be transferring those salaries and benefits from the restricted to the unrestricted. And then the last one on here is the Golden State Pathways. That one's also expiring in year 27, 28. So all the salaries and benefit will be transferred back to the unrestricted program in 28 to 29. And then last year, similar to what we did at second interim, we built in a $2 million to be determined reduction starting in years 27, 28. Next slide. Okay, so with all those assumptions, this is the multi-year projection for the unrestricted general fund. So starting with year 26, 27, the total projected revenue is about 89.9, net of the transfer that we transferred to a special ed. Total projected expenditure is about a little over $94 million. And our reserve percentage is about 20.19 at the end of year 27, 28. Moving over to 27, 28, our total projected revenue is about 91.6 million. This is net of the contribution to special ed. Total expenditure is projected to be about 94.4. That includes the $2 million that we built in to be determined later on. And then our projected reserve amount at the end of 27, 28 is 18.36. And then lastly, for 28, 29, total revenue is about a little over $94 million. Again, this is net of the contribution that we transferred to special ed. Total expenditure is about $96.3 million. The $2 million that built in, this is not an additional $2 million. This is a carryover from the reduction that we're planning to make in year 27, 28. And then our projected reserve for year 28, 29 is at 16.75. Next slide. On the restricted general fund, total revenue is about 50.4. This includes the transfer, the contribution from the unrestricted for special ed. Our total expenditure for that year is a little over $49 million, and the carryover amount for that year is about 7.8. Moving over to 27, 28, total revenue is about $43.6 million. That includes a $16 million from the contribution from the unrestricted for special ed. Total expenditure is about $48 million. And then our projected carryover for that year is $3.2 million. And then moving on to year 28, 29, projected revenue is about $44 million. This includes the transfer for special ed. Total projected expenditure is about 46.7, and our projected carryover amount is about $881,000. Next slide.
Questions as you go or at the end?
Sure. Is it a fairly brief question or?
What's on this slide?
Okay, please ask your question then. Yeah. Back one slide you were asking?
Yeah. So I'm curious, let's see, there is the drop in $7 million for the other state revenue from this year to the next year, and then it stays stable. That's more, I believe, than all of the grants that we're running out. So what is that drop?
So for state revenue.
Other state revenue.
Yeah. So recall that we mentioned the one-time money. This is both the student support professional development discretionary block grant
Right.
to the
Okay,
tune of about
but-
7.8, and then the one-time learning recovery grant about 728. So we get all that money in year 26, 27. And so if you don't use all that money, it drops down to carryover. Recall that I mentioned that we were going to spread that one grant over a 3-year period.
Right.
And so that's why you only see the revenue recorded in 1 year, because we don't get revenue again in the subsequent year.
Okay, and where's the 3 million showing up then per year for SPED?
So similar to what we're doing this year, we're going to be transferring expenditures from the unrestricted general fund into the restricted general fund. And mainly it's going to be in that other operating expenditure row of the 10 million, 9 million, and $9 million.
May I take a crack at, I think, answering with that question? On the special education, the state increasing their funding, this number was 18 to 19 million of contribution from the general fund back into special ed. Now it's in the 15 to 16 million range. Yes. My understanding is that's because the state has finally committed to increasing ongoingly special education funding. Is that correct?
That is correct.
I think that's the question you're asking.
Right,
Yeah.
I just thought it would show up as a revenue, not just changing the expense.
Oh, you're referring to the special ed money?
Correct.
Yeah, it
Okay.
shows it-
Yeah.
How we have to account for special ed is weird. It's a contribution, not an expense.
Correct.
It's always driven me crazy.
So it actually reduces the contribution from the unrestricted general fund by about $3 million.
And a thank you to President Horner for his lobbying efforts.
Takes everybody. Yeah, just the other thing on what I'm learning now, years of following this, under Proposition 98, which is a state constitutional law passed by voters a long time ago, a certain fraction of state money has to go to education every year. But then each year they make a decision how much is ongoing, whether it's LCFF or special ed, and how much is like one time. Because they're saying, well, in later years, the state budget may be worse, which could happen. Hasn't happened in over a decade, but could happen. So we keep getting one-time money, but then you can't count on it later. So that when I see what you're doing in and out of these positions transferred to restricted, what's mostly to use that one-time money. And then if the one-time money is gone, it comes back. It's a very confusing way we have to do this. But if the state's revenue holds up, then when we actually get to 27, 28, and 28, 29, the revenue numbers will come up. If the state has an income tax collapse, then this will happen. Am I following this right? I've been studying for years trying to understand this.
It is very complicated to keep track of some of these one-time money.
But we get one-time money we've gotten one-time money every year for a decade, so.
Yes.
But it's always one time. But it keeps happening.
That started with Governor Jerry Brown. And really, because the state doesn't want to commit ongoing money.
Yeah, which
and
I
so in order
understand.
to protect
Yeah.
themselves, they give one-time money. And it makes Doris and her team, gives them headaches just to keep track of, when they expire, what salaries we're paying out of these grants, and when to transfer it back. So thank you again.
Can I follow up on that? Because I think that's very helpful. So that 3 million, if it does materialize, then it will no longer be, because right now it's showing as coming from not as high of a contribution, correct? That's with it. The 15 million for 26, 27 is 3 million less.
Yes, so
than it would have
we're
been.
counting on that money coming in for next year, and that's why the contribution for this year is about 18.3, That got reduced to 15.5
Okay.
because of the
And
addition.
that the state has, that they didn't do as a one-time thing. They said, this is, you can count on this. So that's
Yes.
why we're counting on it continuing. Any other questions? Please continue.
Okay, so districts, not just us, but everyone, has to disclose the amount that they have over 3%. And that has to be done for all 3 years of the budget. And so for the next year budget, can't see that. Okay, so for next year, 26, 27, our total projected ending fund balance is about 28.9. The 3% reserve requirement comes out to about 4.2. And so we need to identify the additional excess, which is about 24.6. And so one of the things that we're doing is that we're counting per board directive to meet the 10% requirement. So we're allocating those additional funds to meet that 10% requirement. And then the balance of 14.6 is really to comply and adhere with board policy 3100. Next slide, please. Similar scenario, our projected ending balance for year 27, 28 is about $26 million. The 3% comes out to about 4.2. So that leaves 21.9 balance. To bring up to the 10%, we would need to earmark about $9.9 million. And then the remaining 11.9 is to, again, comply with board policy 3100. And for year 28, 29, our projected ending balance is about 23.9. The 3% requirement comes out to about 4.2. We would need to add about $10 million to meet the 10% reserve requirement as directed by board policy. And then the balance of 9.6 is to comply with our, again, board policy 3100. Next slide. So this is a summary of all the funds outside of the general fund. I'm not going to go through all of them, but they're there for your reference. And next slide, please. So next step, again, like the LCAP, we're not asking for approval tonight. We're going to be back on June 25th to request the board for adoption and approval. And assuming it gets done, then it gets sent to the county office for review and comments. And then we're still waiting on the state to enact their budget. And so that should happen within the next couple of weeks. So any new additional information that comes out, we'll definitely bring that back to the board. And then right afterward, our team is going to be busy again closing their books. And once they're done, the unaudited actuals can be presented in September of the coming school year. Okay, with that, I'd be happy to take any questions.
Thank you. Additional questions? Trustee Altman?
What is the anticipated cost of covering pregnancy leave?
That's a great question. And we're going to be working on that. This is a new law that just came out, and so we're going to have to look at past trends and build in some assumptions to come with that amount. And so we're working on that. We don't have that amount yet.
Is ELOP a wash?
I'm sorry?
ELOP, is that a wash? It just
Yes.
zeroes out?
Yes.
What happened to schools? It isn't captured separately, but I'm curious because we had talked about cutting it. What happened to funding provided to school sites for their use on their own discretion?
Those are still provided on an annual basis. So,
At the same level?
yeah, there's a formula that we utilize. And so we allocate lottery, we allocate supplemental dollars. And so it's based on a combination of both their enrollment and also their UPP count. And so, but we do keep them we do hold them harmless if they have a decrease in enrollment, because when we're building the budget, we're using current year data. And so, we don't want to burden them by reducing their budget next year in the event that, fewer students come to their school site. So there's a whole harmless clause that we implement in that process as well.
Anything else?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Okay.
I'll keep going until someone tells me I have to stop. How does the budget treat potential raises for staff? Is it just it doesn't show up because you can't decide predetermined? So is that a wild card in this?
Yeah, so typically most districts, or none of the districts I work with, include any projected settlement costs, just because that could be considered as bad faith negotiation. Because if you have a predetermined number already built into your budget.
So should all of the bargaining units settle during the summer, then that would be represented in the budget presented to us in August or whenever we see it next?
Well, we hope that we settle with everyone as soon as possible. But any settlement agreement that we reach, we would bring those cost analyses to the board for presentation.
Right, and then everything changes. That's my
Correct,
point.
yeah.
Speaking of changing, at the last board meeting with the May revise, you showed us with reserves of 23.03%. Now it's 20.19%, and the drop is even bigger from last meeting to this meeting for projected for 27, 28. What happened?
Yeah, so the biggest impact was that, remember that one-time money that we're getting for next year, the student support money. And so when we did the update, it was based on current year and then the 2 subsequent year. And so that money was being spread out over a 2-year period. So that would have increased the reserve percentage. But we're being more strategic in terms of how we're using that money now. So instead of spreading it over a 2-year period, we're spreading it over 3 years. So in essence, that lowers the reserve percentage because we're using that money, over a longer period of time.
Let's see, there is an $18 million something happening, other commitments on page 89 of the, not the summary, but the other attachment. Yeah, that makes me nervous. It happens to be on page 89, if you don't know offhand what the other commitments,
Yes.
that changes by $18 million.
So that's related to the next board item, actually. It's a quirky law that the state put in place where when the state's Prop 98 rainy day reserve exceeds or meet at least 3%, all districts except for Basic Aid, because Basic Aid is special, and districts with fewer than 2,501 ADA. Those districts are exempt, but every other district, the 10% cap applies to them. In order for them to comply with that statute, districts have the ability to commit those funds so that they meet that 10% threshold. And so it's a technicality that we have to do in order to comply with this, I say, silly law.
So it comes back again?
Yes, yeah. So at the end of the year, that commitment's going to fall back to the reserve, unrestricted reserve. The board can anytime come back and pass a resolution to uncommit those funds if it needs it to.
Okay, and here's a softball. Why are some cells blue and some aren't? Just when I'm
like
reading
colors.
it. Did you do it randomly? Is there some rationale to the blue cells and the non-blue cells?
I like colors.
So it's random?
I'm sorry?
It's random? No, on
No.
yeah, on the attachment on the budget, there's some cells that are blue and some cells that aren't, and I'm wondering if there's any meaning to it.
Are you talking about
133-page document?
On the, yeah.
You know what? I don't know. I might need to look at that.
Okay, it's because
usually-
some of them are, everything has a 0 in it, and then some are blue with nothing in it, some are blue with something in it, some are blue with zeros, and I'm just trying to decode. That was a softball one, too. 93.2% of our expenses are in salary, correct? Is that what I saw? Or we're heading to that?
Yeah, that seems about, I mean, especially, are you looking at just the restricted or unrestricted? Or both?
Page 109, I would have to find 109 and see. Look on page 89. Gray? Maybe I'm colorblind. Maybe my screen, yeah, probably a kid messed with my screen. What's that? Okay, well, I'll have more questions tomorrow because we'll be spending quality time together.
So in relation to Trustee Altman's question regarding the maternity leave disability pay, you mentioned that it was undetermined right now because we don't know. Yeah. But on the LCFF on page 4, it says the funded COLA, statutory COLA for FY 2026-27 is 2.87%. Additional 1.44% is tied to PPDL.
Yes.
Is that like a guess, or where did the 1.4% come from?
Yes, that's a guess by the state.
Thank you, Governor Newsom.
Yeah, I was just curious of where that came from.
Yeah, we at the CBO level are still, or at my level, are still trying to figure that out as well. So I'm sure there's a bunch of assumptions that they used and data points that they use, but it's mad scientists.
So is that kind of like a placeholder of a percentage, just to put it in there?
Okay, may I, since I sat through 2 presentations on this? So the cost of living adjustment is supposed to be based on a particular federal index. I forget which one. That index came out to 2.87. The governor, in meeting some, but not, he's still keeping $3.9 billion that belongs to all the schools. So we'll see what happens in the legislature, but said, there's a lot of money we're going to give some of it. So part of it was we're going to give, they call it a super COLA. We're going to, instead of giving you the 2.87 that the math says, we'll make it 4.31. Oh, and by the way, you're going to have to do this pregnancy and other issues disability leave, which I don't think pregnancy is a disability, but that's a whole communication matter. But nobody knows how much that costs. So the 1.44 was to kind of get closer to what Prop 98 requires, and they said, no, oh, by the way, you got to do this. That's how I understood after an hour of listening to it.
Yeah, and the PPDL was the main criteria, but they also threw in some, here's what you can use this 1.4% COLA towards: rising costs, inflation, da-da-da-da-da. So, it's more of a recommendation, but they're tying that augmented COLA mainly to the PPDL law that's coming into place.
And if I may add, there's a lot of advocacy happening right now to uncouple the two, to just give that additional percent, 1.4%, which for us, it's $1.4 million on an ongoing basis, to separate it from the pregnancy leave. So there's some advocacy happening.
Okay, great. Good, thank you.
And also a lot of advocacy around that 3.9 billion that they're keeping. Trustee Gardner, did you? Yeah, please.
Can you help me tie this together, Colvera, on your slide 7, the key assumptions? And I understand this is not comprehensive, but on the restrictive funds, when I totaled up the dollar amounts on that page, it was $6,469,000. Can you help me know where that's captured in the following multi-year projection and the restricted one? Can you tell me how that, like where I would find that?
Okay, so page 7.
Slide number 7, yeah, it's got the key assumptions, and the restricted funds were, I mean, I'm sure it's more, but I counted almost 6,500,000, so 6,469,000. So I'm just going to be wondering where is this captured in your multi-year projection on the restricted?
So can we go back to the slides?
That slide is slide 10, by the way.
Yeah, thank you. Let's.
Thank you, Claudia. You want the M1 green? Or slide 7?
Can we go back to slide 7 real fast? I want to make sure that we're capturing which amount she's at. Trustee
other
Gardner is
revenues,
adding
one
up.
Key assumptions, other revenues.
Yeah, there you go. Okay.
Yeah.
So are you just counting all the restricted dollars?
no,
Can we hit
I know
one of
it's
the
not
lights in the back
comprehensive.
there, please? Just, it'll help to see the screen. There we go.
Can we fast forward to the multi-year projection for restricted?
Probably slide 10.
Yes. And so this is restricted, yeah. So that would be captured in this line item right here.
So other state revenue, is that what you're
Correct,
pointing
yes,
to?
yeah, other state revenue.
Okay. And is that the amount that you were spreading over 3 years now
There's
instead of 2
one,
years?
there's one bucket of money that we're spreading over 3 years. That's the student support professional development discretionary block grant to the tune of about $6.8 million. So that's the only pot that we're spreading over the 3-year period. Next budget, yeah. Most, if they're identified as ongoing, those are money that are being replenished on a yearly basis. So for example, the ELOP funds, the Prop 28 funds, those are all other state revenues that gets replenished on a yearly basis.
Okay, thank you. I know Nancy's ready to go, but I have a couple more questions. On slide 10, for the ending fund balance before designations, it does drop over 7 million. And maybe you've covered this in what you've said, but can you just kind of help direct me so we know why is that dropping over 7 million?
Yeah, so that's actually a pretty common kind of misunderstanding in terms of how we identify the fund balance for the restricted. So on the unrestricted side, anything that doesn't get spent, those are considered unrestricted reserve. On the restricted side, it's actually carryover. So the reason why you see that some year we're spending or it's showing a negative revenue over expenditures because we have to spend down those carryovers. Some grant has a sunset time of maybe 3 years or so to spend down those monies. Otherwise, it gets returned. Other funds has restrictions on how much you can carry over from one year to another. So similar to how we're treating that one-time money, the student support money. So we get $6.8 million in year 26, 27. We're only spending a third of that in year 26, 27. What we don't spend gets dropped down to the ending fund balance. And then we use those amount to spread over the remaining 2 years in the multi-year projection.
Okay, well, I'll put a pin in that for now. Then the last question, thank you for that, but I'm not sure 100% follow. Then on the slide 14, which was other funds, summary of other funds, I'm just curious, because on the Fund 49 Mello-Roos, how do we deficit spend that? Because there's no ending balance. We're overspent than the revenue in the beginning balance. Can you just give me an example, provide an example of how that would happen? And then I guess I'm assuming on the cafeteria, that would be, is that the free lunches? Is that Michael Jochner? What is?
Yeah, that's the student nutrition program. Okay. And so that's kept outside of the unrestricted or the general fund in a whole. They run, they're self-sufficient. And so we haven't made any contribution to that program. Even though
because the expenditures are almost 6 million, so
yeah,
I don't.
So I mean, student nutrition tends to be a lot on the conservative side when they budget their expenditure. And so they account for all the position, all the potential costs. And at the end of every year, they typically end up saving some of those encroachment or deficit spending. So he's aware. They have a plan together. And so, they do a 3-year projection as well. And so once they identified any concerns and issues, they will make the necessary adjustment to bring back those expenditures down.
So thank you. If you could just say Fund 20, I'm assuming is retirement payments. It's gone, there's nothing left. And then Fund 49, if we could address the Mello-Roos, that would be great.
Yes, so Mello-Roos was a tax measure that was passed back in like 1991, 1992.
I actually had to pay a Mello-Roos tax once, and it was painful. So go ahead.
Okay, so we do have ongoing streams of revenue to the tune of about $620,000 per year. The projection that you're showing, assuming that we're spending everything down, we're not going to. We just identified what was remaining in the carryover and identified certain potential expenditures that we could use that money for. But the reality is that this year we're going to, or even next year, we're still going to have some reserve in that fund.
Okay, so because I didn't put this in here, so I'm just asking for clarification. So when we're not really deficit spending that down, is what you're saying?
It might be a slight spend down of reserve, but yeah, I mean, we have sufficient funds to, cover all the expenditures that we're planning.
I think Mello-Roos is typically for capital expenditures, right? It's not salaries,
right.
It's repairs, building, that sort of thing.
And there was some, I believe we had some spending on the consent agenda a few meetings ago. It was funding that was braided in with Mello-Roos, if I'm not mistaken.
You're both on the budget committee, which will be meeting in great detail, so I'm wondering, are there more things that need to be asked tonight? I'm not trying to shove, but I also would like to get home sometime tonight. Or does anyone else have more questions or anything else that's urgent for tonight? They can't wait until the other meeting?
This is a broader, just for the board to consider is in the next 2 years, we are going to be making $2 million. Right now, the budget is for $2 million cuts next year and the following year, correct?
Well, not the coming school year, the year after, yeah.
Yeah, there's $2 million.
Well, it's once.
Just
2 years from now, a $2 million cut.
Okay, so we have the one. So I would like to just to have the detail what was cut, and for us to consider as a board, for instance, say teaching positions were cut, no work was removed, so that I would love to see these cuts coming away from the classroom. Cutting teachers is about as close into the classroom as you could possibly get. So I want that as a consideration for the board moving forward, to have some involvement in what the cuts are, that budget stabilization plans are approved by the board, not board informed. That is my, and if we need to make that as a motion.
Well, I mean, it's not an action item now. That's something I would suggest continuing to discuss at the budget meeting you're going to be having, and then bringing back to the board.
But, okay, that's a board thing, so I'll just put that on a request for.
Yeah. Anyone else? Anything else?
I just want to thank Doris and your team for all your hard work. Because I was thinking about when we all assumed, well, 4 of us assumed office in December of 2024. And when we were looking at the projected reserve balance for the 26-27 year, it was like somewhere like $8 million. And when the board approved that budget, and so now it was just, thank you for your efforts in seeing that it is $28 million. Thank you.
All right. Seeing nobody else, we'll move on to our next item, which is, okay, have to open a public hearing. So this is item 8 at 9:27, opening a public hearing regarding the disclosure of district reserves and reasons for assigned and unassigned ending fund balances. Do we have any requests for public comment on this item? Okay, at 9:27, we'll close the public hearing and go to item 9, the Same item, I'm not going to read it all again. Assistant Superintendent Chang, please.
Thank you, President Horner. The administration is respectfully requesting the board to approve this item as reflected on the board agenda, but I'll be happy to take any questions. And I alluded to this when we talked about the $18 million committed funds, the reasons why.
So any questions on this item?
I motion to approve.
You can.
Second.
All right. So that was trustee Andrade and Altman with the second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed or abstaining? Seeing and hearing none, that passes unanimously. Thank you very much. Okay, now we're on item 10. Oh.
Same thing.
Oh, sorry, different, yeah. Different approval, yes, thank you very much. The fiscal year 26-27 expenditure plan for educational protection account, otherwise known as Prop 55 funds. Assistant Superintendent Chang.
And similar to the last item, we're respectfully asking the board to approve this as presented on the board cover. And again, I'll be happy to take any questions on that.
Any questions or dialogue on this item?
I motion to approve.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Vice President Northrop Gaddis, all in favor, please say aye. Excuse me, aye. Aye. Any opposed or abstaining? That also passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, item 10, I believe we have a request for public comment.
Yes, can you guys hear me?
Yes. You have 3 minutes. Go ahead.
Who is it?
Chris Rubel.
Would you like to introduce me or would you like me to introduce myself?
Oh, yes. Sorry. Yes, this is Victor Antonio, I think joining us from Spain. I don't know what time it is there, but please go ahead, sir.
My name is Victor Antonio. I taught Live Oaks High School in 2021, and I was a math teacher there. And this is for context and disclosures. So back when I was at Live Oaks High School in 2021, I had spectacular letters of recommendation, amongst others by Veronica Diaz, who I see she's in the attendance via Zoom tonight. And I was also given certificates of recognition, praising my practice and so forth. And then in 2022, the next year, I raised concerns about what I'm going to talk about tonight. And as a result, and in full disclosure, and as the state is investigating, I'm alleging that I was retaliated against, and so as a result, I was given a non-re-election letter without any predicate at all whatsoever. And there were also a collection of other adversarial actions. And again, the hope is that the state will investigate. Okay, let's go to tonight then. Tonight, the board is trying to retroactively approve last year's declaration of need. This is not right, and this is not legal. This is of extreme importance. So please stay with me during the next few minutes. However, before that, because this issue of the declaration of need is so extremely important, because it is the mechanism that the district uses to hire uncertified teachers in very large numbers to teach in Morgan Hill. Now, since this is so important, why would the board push this all the way down to the end of the board meeting? The central idea of the declaration of need process is transparency. This is the basic requirement, transparency and public input. Could you please turn the camera around so that we could see how many people are in attendance from the public at the minute? This meeting will become evidence. Please turn the camera around so that we can get a head count of the members of the public actually hearing about your highly irregular declaration of need process. Would you do that? Look, as an example, and for the record, I'm connecting via Zoom tonight. Right now, it says in the app that there are only 12 people in attendance. This is a very low number. But it's even lower because I see the superintendent, Carmen Garcia, is there, the technology officer is there, board members are there, the interpreter is there, 2 moderators are there, Veronica Diaz.
Thank you. That concludes your 3 minutes. You've requested it on the next item as well, so we'll come back to you. You can complete on the next item. So we're on item 10. Assistant Superintendent Tavares.
Good evening, trustees. We are asking tonight that you take formal action to approve our declaration of need. This is based on the fact that annually the Human Resources Department does go out and recruit the best and the brightest educators that are highly qualified for our classes. There are times that folks are not fully credentialed, and we do need to take the opportunity to see if there is another way to get them a credential, which would involve what's called an emergency credential. The types that are most commonly used are a PIP, which is a provisional internship permit, or a STIP, which is a short-term staff permit, and sometimes something called a GLAP, which is a general education limited assignment permit. So those are the ways that we are able to get people that are talented and driven educators credentialed to be in our classrooms. So at this time, I would request your approval, and I'll take any questions you may have.
Just a clarification, we have this similar item twice, once for year 25-26 that we're just completing. My understanding is we passed this item on a consent calendar a year ago, and we've been given some legal advice. You really ought to do it on the regular agenda, not on the consent. I'm not sure why they said that, but is that correct as far as why we're looking at the current year again?
Yes, and it is happening before the end of the fiscal year. We have been advised, just go ahead and approve it again. It was already approved on 6/10 of 25. We brought it back for your approval as an action item versus a consent item. This is a matter of tick and tying things together. It was an oversight last year, and we would ask for your approval this year.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Seeing and hearing none, do we have a motion?
I motion to approve.
Thank you, Trustee Andrade. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Vice President Northrop Gaddis. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed or abstaining? Okay, that passes unanimously. Now we have the similar item for this year. We can, Mr. Ontorio would like to continue public comment. You have another 3 minutes.
Yes, what a total outreach. The comments that Tavares has just made are completely inaccurate. Back in 2021 and back in 2022, I have CTC records that you guys didn't want to provide, saying that your declaration of needs had been rejected by the state. This is something that you have to disclose to the public. Now, you have tried to brush aside the fact that you are trying to retroactively approve now the 2025, that last year's declaration of need. You cannot do that legally. I don't know who has given you that legal advice. That declaration of need is voided. All the teaching permits that you guys granted based on that or relying on that declaration of need are voided. You need to engage with the California Commission on Teaching Credentialing immediately. All the money that the state is giving you for those classes where you have unauthorized teachers, because the declaration of need is not valid, is subject to clawbacks. The gentleman doing the budget was there before me. He needs to make a big substantial provision because those monies will have to be returned. You need to disclose this information to the public, and there is no public there. Why didn't you turn the camera around? Why don't you give me a head count of the numbers of the public attending this meeting? It's an outrage, and it's not the first time that you do it. I have documentation that I have given to you that back in 2021 and back in 2022, you did exactly the same thing. I have advised your state, and I hope they really investigate. There is precedence. It's not the first time that you guys tried to do this. Would you like to explain?
Thank you. Okay, that concludes public comment on this item. Assistant Superintendent Tavares, please return to the microphone. Thank you.
Okay, we are asking for the same approval for the 2026-27 school year. We have been out recruiting heavily. We do foresee there may be some need, particularly in special ed and bilingual certification, that we may need to have some folks get some emergency credentials. And so we would like to ask for your approval in this action item to move forward. And I'll be happy to take any questions you might have.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Or someone want to make a motion so we can move on?
I move that we approve the declaration of need for fully qualified educators for the 26-27 school year.
Thank you, Trustee Altman. Thank you, Trustee Andrade. All in favor? Aye. It's approved unanimously. We're on item L.
Thank you.
Thank you. New business, request for future agenda items. And again, remember, if this involves a significant amount of effort, we'll need 4 or more people to say, yes, please spend time on that. Any requests? Trustee Altman? And then Trustee Marquez?
No, go ahead. Okay, I would like and actually Trustee Andrade requested this a long time ago, a review of facilities usage to see if we have flexibility to have some income opportunities from our vast real estate holding. I would also, that's one topic, I would like for us to discuss.
No, I requested it January 25.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's like 18 months ago. Well, no, it's so, yeah, so that's been a while. I would like to address that. I would like to discuss the board's fiscal control / guidance and to look into, actually, I just want, and I know how to say it, the warrant registers. Many districts in the county provide this, and just in terms of transparency to the public and for our own information, I would like to receive those, but I would like to discuss as a topic board fiscal guidance control. It is our obligation.
So what does board fiscal guidance and control mean beyond the budget approval
It's
cycle?
budget, just that setting that if we could have a discussion about our vision for where the next round of cuts would be made.
Okay, so is that something we have 4 people that want to see come to the board that, well, let's start with the property. And I'm not sure how much, I mean, doing an analysis of property and what uses might be made of it, that can be a very extensive effort. That can be people spitballing ideas. So how extensive are you talking?
Spitballing ideas.
Then that, I would say, probably, since it's a property disposition item, probably belongs in closed session, because we don't talk about any of our property holdings in open session for a lot of really good reasons.
May I interject? I believe Assistant Superintendent provided, I recall you providing information, I believe, I don't know if it was at a theme study session, but you provided information with a real estate consultant, if I'm not mistaken. You provided information about real estate, I just remember that.
Yes, my recollection is that we did present to the board the facilities usage at a board study session. I don't recall when. I think it was March of last year, if I recall it correctly. So we'd have to go back to the presentation.
So we've got to start. I just want to look at if we can leverage our property as a source of income.
Yeah, I mean, we can revisit that report that we
We can.
provided, the presentation, and do an update.
We can provide an update. We also are limited to what the Civic Center Act allows us to do. So yeah, we could revisit that report by following the Civic Center Act.
Okay, so you had three items in there, right? The one was taking a look at the
Right.
property. Were there three?
Yeah, looking, well, yeah, I guess they are. The other is a board discussion about providing guidance for the next round of cuts.
So the $2 million cuts that you have plugged in there right now, when would we start looking at the composition of those?
We'll probably start identifying some possible option when school starts, when we actually true up our enrollment, our staffing level, and then if possible, we would provide an update with the first interim report. But again, we have until the whole year to make those decisions because those cuts are intended for year 27, 28. And so the county office will provide us that leeway to make those decisions methodically and strategically. But yeah, we're going to begin identifying options to bring to the board for consideration.
I'm very reluctant to do we cut this job or that job when we're talking about people's lives and careers in this kind of a forum on Zoom where, I mean, I saw way before any of us were here, a previous board do that. It got pretty difficult. I remember certain jobs being called glorified babysitters, and people took great offense to that. So I understand the intention, but I'm also very concerned about if we're not thoughtful about that, about the consequences.
The community with, the BOC, right? Community, especially for those who don't have children in the schools. I just feel like I want to echo your sentiment about making a decision when I'm not boots on the ground.
I mean, in my view, the best place for most of those discussions is the budget committee, where we have union representation, board representation, staff representation, but it's not let's just talk about this in front of the world when we're affecting individual people's lives.
If I may, we're going to be providing the unaudited actuals. I mean, there are certain times that we present the budget to the board. Certainly during one of those updates, the board can give us some overall guidance on the $2 million, and that way we are able to work with our partners, our union partners, to arrive at the $2 million. So I think that if the board provides us overall guidance that we can follow.
Okay, I'd also be happy if it was moved to the budget committee. We would just have to meet more frequently.
Okay, and what was your third thing? I remember there being three. I'm just
Yeah,
getting tired.
I would like the warrant registers provided as part of our agenda, which is happening at many, many districts in our county.
I'm sorry, I got interrupted. I missed.
The warrant registers.
Oh, the warrant registers. I know that's being reviewed, so that's on the list.
Currently in the process of reviewing that, but if I may back up, I want to make sure that we have captured that with the previous item, the board is providing overall guidance on what the $2 million can entail, overall guidance. I just want to make sure that that's clear. Okay? All right. And on the third item, we're currently reviewing that item.
What's the anticipated time when we would find out?
I would like to give the board during our August retreat some options to consider.
Any other requests? Yes. Trustee Marquez, thank you. I am fading here. My mind is not as sharp as it was 6 hours ago.
I know it's late. I know with all the new builds here in Morgan Hill, all over the place, I would like to review or discuss school boundaries, reevaluate that. I know that, I understand that it's kind of like a hodgepodge because of the way things were done years ago. So I'd like to see if we can readdress that.
Right before election.
The other thing is, one of the speakers alluded to the Barrett Gate safety. I would like to talk about that as well. That is a safety issue, so I'd like to put that on the agenda for discussion.
During the break, I was able to approach Mom, and so we're going to work with Assistant Superintendent Chang to make sure that we update the gates.
Perfect, then we don't have to agendize that.
Yeah.
And on the issue of the school boundaries, we do work with a demographer on an annual basis, and he does look at all the new builds and with the anticipated additional enrollment based on the unit, so on and so forth. He has a formula that determines the number of students. So what we can do with him is, as the new builds are happening, then we can tweak the boundaries to include those new builds. And I think that's probably a phased-in approach that will accommodate the new builds and the accompanying boundaries.
But I understand that there's areas that are like part of one district, and then a few blocks down is part of another area. So we should reevaluate that to make it all like this whole area, this whole neighborhood goes to one school, instead of having pockets all over.
That could be part of the request, so we can ask him as well, ways that we can. The process for school boundaries is quite time consuming, and it takes a really, really long time. And so we can look to see what we can do faster without blowing it all up.
Very good. And then the third
Some
thing.
tweaks without a complete rewrite. Complete rewrite is very difficult.
I can imagine.
Process.
And then the third thing, and I don't know if it should be agendized, but just the concern of QA's teachers not getting their contracts. That's a concern, so I'd like to talk about that.
So I know it's not agendized, but I do know that Assistant Superintendent Taveras did review all contracts. Can you provide the board a summary of what you did and the collaborative process that you engaged in as you worked on updating the contracts to be in alignment with Ed Code?
Absolutely. We updated all of our certificated contracts, so that would include temporary contracts, probationary contracts, and then the agreement that our permanent staff get annually in this district. And we did work with the teachers union. We did meet with them. We did review the documents beforehand. As far as I'm aware, all contracts are out with the exception of a few TK assistant teacher contracts. And the reason for that, which all parties are aware of, is because we're not sure what kind of contract to issue, and we're in the middle of negotiating how we're going to move forward. And so as soon as that's resolved, we'll be able to issue contracts. And we look forward to doing that. We look forward to working with our partners, the Federation, to make that happen.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any others? Yes, Trustee Munson.
Okay. First thing is just an update on the battery storage, our support of opposition for it. I know we talked briefly about it, but I just wanted an update on that, how that's going. And this is more of just a comment for the math pilot, to make sure it's open to all K through 12 and not limited to a small group. I know how important curriculum is. It's the second most important thing besides a teacher. And it is open. Okay, I wasn't sure the process of how.
So that one's been answered. Thank you.
Perfect.
Thank you, Dr. Jimenez.
Perfect.
That was the quickest response ever.
Right? I love that. And then, oh yeah. So I was looking back on our future board requests, and I had requested, and Trustee Marquez had requested just a discussion about the start time for Las Paseos and Martin Murphy, but the Martin Murphy was only captured on that. So if we can add back Las Paseos start time, because I know that's a concern for a lot of parents. And last thing, the bond. So I know that we're all in agreement, almost all of us are in agreement that we would like a bond. I know that Trustee Altman and myself are in favor of it, but not at this
November. So how can we have a plan of action that includes all of our stakeholders and a plan going forward?
I'm unclear. We did include, if I may, we did include the community in the updating of the facilities master plan. So we heard from them the level of need in terms of facilities and their preferred prioritization of upgrades at each site. We included not just the parents, but also the staff. We included the board. This was prior to you being on the
Okay.
board. So we did go through a very, I want to say it was about a 1.5 year long process of truly assessing what the level of need. The updated plan then informed the total number that we would need to update our facilities. That's $1.2 billion. We would never ask that much of our community. So then it informed a fraction of that. We did survey the community, and that's a way of engagement. The true engagement to pass a bond occurs after the board directs staff to place the item on the ballot. That's when the true engagement occurs, when we create a separate committee that then, reaches out. But I think ultimately it was that 67% of the community said that they would support it. So in terms of level of engagement, it was there. We had 67% of the community who would pass that bond. So I don't know what level of, I don't know.
Well, I think, okay, so for one thing, the master plan, when was that updated? What year?
2 years ago.
2 years.
And it's done every 5 years.
Okay, every 5 years.
We can go through that again, but that was a very expensive proposition. I'd rather not go through that again.
I read it. So I read it. It's very detailed. And I guess the engagement that I was talking about isn't just the engagement of would you pass it? It's more engagement of the stakeholders. So stakeholders are teachers, parents, community members.
What would that look like? Because we can't advocate on behalf of a bond. We're paid for by state fund, by taxpayer dollars, and so we can't advocate passing a bond during the work day. So I don't understand what the engagement would look like beyond
Like
what
a
I
listening
described.
center. So, other districts do it all the time. They're like, we're considering a parcel, we're considering a bond, we're having listening centers or sessions. They do it all the time. And that is the natural progression of things. It's not to pass the bond and then get the input. It's get the input and the support.
Respectfully, we got the input.
Well, respectfully, I don't think so. I don't think that's enough to survey 295 people,
Statistically significant.
Okay. I respectfully disagree.
This is turning
And
into
you know what, hold on a second. I want to say something because Prop 40 bond is the one with the 2/3 for the public. So let's not mix up which bond we were reviewing. Dale Scott stood right there and said the same thing. Yeah.
This is turning into a debate on an item not on the agenda.
Well, let's get our facts straight, please.
I'd
when
like
we
to
address
have-
the public.
The fact is, we were pursuing the 55%, not the 67%.
Correct, but you just said that 2/3 of the public would pass it.
Well, that was the survey results.
Our next opportunity to put a bond on the ballot is 2 years away.
And I'd like to start the process sooner than later.
Okay, so let's record that, we have to come up with a plan if we're going to look at it in 2 years, what that looks like. That's what we can do at this point, but I don't want to re-debate what just happened.
And that's all I really wanted.
Okay, we will, certainly we want to look at a bond again in 2 years, and recording that's something on our long-term plan is reasonable. Can we adjourn this and go home, or?
One last
You've
thing.
already had 3.
One last thing, because I've asked for it before, and that is a report on Saturday School or Flex or whatever it's called, and the numbers that are attached to it.
We went over those.
Yeah, well, that was part of a closed session superintendent's review, and so.
I want to see the expenses and the receipts.
I think that's already, is that still on the list? Yeah. Okay, all right. Anything else? At 9:57, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.